All right, folks, I am live. Hey, hey, hey. Let's see who's in the old chat here. Let's see, we got Red. Hey, Red. Just talk to you, I think. Let's see who else. We got Edward, Sue, and David. Hey, what's going on? Please like and share and all that good stuff. Tonight we got open lines, meaning you call that number. The only person you're going to get is me. 931-994-6917. There's not going to be somebody's on screen calls here. Yeah, it looks like I'm all over the place. I'm getting all kinds of alerts. Lakea, what's going on? Mm-mm-mm. There you go. Hey, Jack, what's going on, brother? Okay, I like that picture, Lakea. That's a cool looking picture of you that you got on your avatar there on your YouTube there. That's pretty cool, pretty cool. And I downloaded that picture of the hair, whatever's going on there. Doll, what is going on? Appreciate you calling in tonight. And there you go. Let's see, banners. Let's get this number scrolling at the bottom there. 931-994-6917. And I just got back with a big old hot heaping helping of hospitality coffee, medium dark roast. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Love me some dark roast. Hey, Ann, what's going on? Been a hot minute since I seen you. Yeah. So I am on, I think, day 27 of writing about my near-death experience. And I just surpassed 102 pages, and I forgot I'm about halfway through the magic number. I'm at 49,000 plus. 2 days ago, I was at 49,000 words. So I think you have to have like a little under 100,000. Absolutely. Absolutely. I said, actually said a prayer for Bass earlier today. So please say a prayer for Bass Mayhem. But definitely. Let's go ahead and get that. Let's get a prayer out anyway. All right. Lord Jesus, I ask thee to protect my family, my friends from sickness, from all harm, and from accidents. If any of us has been subjected to any curses, hexes, or spells, I beg thee to declare these curses, hexes, or spells null and void. If any evil spirits are been sent against us, I ask Christ to decommission you, and I ask you to be sent to the foot of the cross to be dealt with as his wills. And Lord, I ask thee to send thy holy angels to guard and protect and heal us. And please, dear God, look after Bass and heal him in Jesus Christ's name. Amen. All right, there you go. Definitely, I have said a couple of prayers for Bass today, actually. Talked to Truth earlier this morning about it. So God bless him and Truth and all their family. Holy cow. So today, 102 pages. 100. I can't believe that I'm 102 pages in and I ain't even begun to write. I got some of the. I can't even say I've got some of the structure of, if you look at it from a house point of view, I don't even think I got the structure of it up yet. So there you go. David, what's going on? 11 people in here looking around, casual conversations with G&A. 13 past minute. Hey, brother. I have surpassed 102 pages on my book so far. And 27 days in, that's about 4 pages a day. I think I'm probably knocking at the door of 50,000 words right now. And I know I wrote like a son of a gun today. I forgot how many pages I wrote. Probably knocking on the door 10 pages today, but who knows? Labor of love. But I'll tell you, it's interesting. So if you want to call in 931-994-6917, we can talk about just about anything. I've got the Vol of Nightmares, the Nightmare Nation TV cams up. And we'll probably be going to them here in a little bit. Ollie, what's going on? Michael, Donnie Cho, brother. Good to see you. Good to see you. Steve, I hope everything's going all right with you, fella. You're always, every time I turn my computer on or go look for YouTube, you're always on there doing something. But that thing that Cisco did the other night with the old school paranormal TV stuff, that was fabulous. Yeah, Cisco was amazing with that one. Fabulous. Now the sightings and let's see, what was the other stuff? Oh geez, Robert Stack, some old school stuff. You don't see that kind of paranormal stuff out on TV. You know, they told a story. They just don't go in and say, "Well, we're going to pick out the most fabulous parts of the story and say, okay, well, let's scare you with this." They kind of built up to it. I like that. So, how's the audio? Audio okay, or everything? Does it sound like it's choppy or anything like that? I know yesterday, well, I was using another mic besides the one I got right here. Yesterday, my microphone was kind of choppy a little bit in pieces and parts. I did an impromptu little thing about my writing yesterday. Today I wrote about, oh, cool. Thanks, David. Let's see. What did you say here, doll? My encounter happened 41 years ago. I'm 5'3". The growl were above my head. We're a bit nervous telling my story. Doll, you did absolutely great. Absolutely great. If I could complain about anybody in my entire 4 years doing this, which I'm not complaining, you know, the guy in private tells a damn good story. A buddy of mine by the name of Tommy, he was ex-military sergeant, and he told me all kinds of stories, and I thought, holy cow, this would be fantastic. Told me some UFO stories, and I was like, okay, let's go ahead and do that. And he just had one of those old stage fright things. So, do you have a publisher yet? No, I don't have a publisher yet. I ain't even vomited out the word vomit yet for it. Which I think that what I've got in me is probably going to be several books of stuff. Several books. It'd be more or less I'll write until I've got enough to say, well, is there enough to divvy up 3 books, 4 books now? But I don't know. I'll keep writing. Okay, that's cool, brother. Appreciate that. But yeah, this thing with my book, I have talked about my near-death experience. I went on Heather Wade's show for 4 hours and talked about it. And at that time, you know, I did not even remember a tenth of what I've written about right now. And I spoke for 4 hours on her show as a guest. So all I got to say is it's just crazy what I'm coming up with. I talked about the one thing that actually on Heather Wade's show, I did about 2.5 hours, 3 hours, something like that. And then I got to the point where I was talking about having a conversation with the devil. And every freaking thing in my house that was connected to the internet went pop. Internet went down. And I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't talk about that. I think Heather got kind of ticked at me for not talking about it, but I have went in great detail. Well, not great detail. I probably got about a book's worth of detail to come out of that thing. But oh, Trina, thanks. Trina's if you're in there, appreciate you retweeting that show link there. Little baby spooks bats, what's going on? My alarm just went off, scared me. Oh Lord, I'll tell you something. I've spooked myself with alarms. And actually, I woke myself at 4:30 this morning. I was like, "Oh my god, why don't?" Well, I know why I got up, but it was for a good reason. But yeah, this book has consumed me for the last 27 days. Actually, I just stopped writing. Well, Red, yeah, I agree with you. Sometimes you just don't want to give audience to it, but I will have to do it in spurts. Maybe not concentrate on it for 48 hours in a row. Maybe give it like a half a day and then be done with it. And then write about it again tomorrow. I've got the rest of my life to write about it, but I don't know. We'll see. But I've got to set up some sort of. I've got a triple redundancy to back up what I've got right now. Cloud version in a couple of places right now. But hey, Trina, thanks for retweeting, treating, whatever. Thanks for redoing whatever you did on social media. I saw that pop up on Twitter that you did. Appreciate that. But yeah, okay. So let's see. Let me get the Vol Nightmares. He actually did this. I got a couple of things of Vol Nightmares. He actually released a couple of things. I got one of them right here. Let me see if I got this. All right, there we go. Blues, what's going on? Was this Eastern time too? This is 9 p.m. Eastern on my end, 8 p.m. Central. So I don't know. 9 to let's see, across the board. Was it 5 o'clock over on the East Coast or 6 o'clock? I can't remember. Is it 3 hours behind Eastern time on the left coast, West Coast? I don't know. I have to ask Tina. Tina's over on the left coast now for a few days. No, Xfinity, I do not want to increase how much data I get from you. I've got everything I need. I got an email just now. I'm Central Time, so it's 8 p.m. Central there, Blues G. On weekdays, if I'm doing a scheduled whatever, it's going to be 8 p.m. Central on the Chasing the Truth channel. Over on Dark Waters at 7 p.m. because I'm on the Fringe.fm on Saturday nights. And that just happens to be the time slot they gave me for Fringe.fm. So interesting to say. But yeah, I always enjoy doing shows over on Dark Waters channel and Fringe.fm. But yeah, baby. Okay, so here I'm going to share this with you guys. Ball Nightmares has been doing some crazy stuff over. He did some call blasting the other night on his channel over on the Ball Nightmares 2.0. And he just recently shared this out. I'm going to share it. He actually shared this with us probably 2 months ago, give or take. So hold on just a second. This is exclusive to the Vol Nightmares. Vol Nightmares definitely has exclusivity to this. He took this in Mississippi. Look how big that damn thing is. Right here's the edge of this shoulder, and right across here on this other edge. He has released this, and he's published this already, so I don't have any problems republishing it. But yeah, there you go. I've been sitting on that for a hot minute, going, "What the fuck is that?" So yeah, there you go. And then he had a couple. He actually did a introspective on this particular photograph a couple of shows ago. Over on the Vol of Nightmares, go over there, and you probably can find the very video he did a little thing on this. Look how big that thing is. That thing is humongous. But yeah, there you go. Definitely do prayers for Bass. I did a prayer right before we started the show, or right on there. for Bass, but definitely say a prayer for that fellow. He needs them, certainly. Let's see. I'm willing to bet that thing can bench press way more than I can. Well, I would dare say that thing can probably bench press what the hell you're driving in. So, was that recent? Yeah, that was recent here in the last week, actually. So, he certainly had that out. I've been sitting on this photograph. I couldn't for about 2 months now. I knew about this photograph for a while. I just didn't since he's done that in the past day, a couple of 3 days ago. But he certainly did, unless I dreamed it. If I did, if I dreamed it, he didn't release it. I'm sorry, but there you go. But that is of all nightmares. He took that picture. Oh, geez, 2 months ago, give or take. And then let's see. He did some call blasting a few nights ago. And where the hell was that hair that he's? Oh, here it is. Here's the hair that he had on last night. Now he went out and did some call blasting and saw something laying in the thicket out behind his house. If you want to be a part of the show, 931-994-6917, you can certainly be a part of the show that way. And I'm going to drop a link in there in just a second. He said he collected this when he was going out to find some footprints the next day after he did the call blasting and saw something in the wood line laying down. He said it was a juvenile size creature. And he did some testing live on air last night, or probably early this morning. Shined the light on it, and it looks black, turned brownish, yellowish. I think he even burned it and tried to cut it. And it was kind of hard to cut. But that's what he gathered up in his backyard. So, that's what I see in my shower drain, yeah. I guess so. Well, when my sister lived here, yeah, I could probably say that looked like something that was out come out of my shower drain, but I've got too short of hair to make that look like something coming out of my shower drain. But there you go. So anyway, all right, let's get this thing here. Where's my StreamYard? There we go. If you want to be in the show, I'm gonna drop a link in the StreamYard link. All you have to do is follow the instructions. You don't have to have your cell phone camera, which my face is face for radio. Let's see. Just follow the instructions. You don't have all you have to have is a microphone to pop on. You can do it on your smartphone or whatever. Pretty easy. I've had a few people on here with just smartphones. And there you go. And I'll pop up the Nightmare Nation TV here in just a little bit. Get that going. So how you guys doing? 34 people in here. Share and like and subscribe all this stuff out, please, if you don't mind. Let's see. What else can we talk about? Scott, I've been on just my phone. Oh, that's cool. You can do it. If you want to pop on there, Scott. Let's see. What else? What else can I talk about other than just normal stuff that we usually talk about? Yep. Definitely prayers for Bass. He needs them. Which part of Tennessee? Oh, geez. I used to live in a place called Kingsport, Tennessee, about 6 years ago, where all this near-death experience started. Interesting enough. I believe you're going to win out pretty good there, Red. You just have to keep up the faith and keep doing what you're doing. Holy cow. If something blows up, I've dropped something liquid on a bunch of electronics next to me doing this freaking show. So, Crossville. Oh man, I've been to Crossville. I used to date this lady over in Nashville when I was working. When I was working in Kingsport, Tennessee, used to date this lady, and she and I would do Crossville around through there. I was coming home, had a 3 day weekend or something, and I was coming home, and it just snowed, and I was in a '98 Camaro. I got hit Crossville, and I was like, "Holy hell! How in the hell am I making it when a freaking '98 to Z28 and 4-wheel drives all over the place in the ditch on that highway? Weren't making it." I was like, "How the hell am I making it?" Positive traction, man. Positive track. That's all I can tell you. What was that lady's name anyway? Short little thing. Oh well. Many years ago, all I can tell you is it was interesting. Definitely. Hey, Gene, what's going on, bro? You had any more encounters or any more crazy pictures that you come across there, Gene? Let's see if I've got anything in here. I got a bunch of email. Look at that. Well, all of it junk and something from Reddit, which is generally about 99% junk anyway. I don't even know why in the hell I've got a Reddit account. But, something up with I drive lowriders in Michigan. It's no problem. Okay. There you go. But yeah, I was going across, going through Crossville on the highway through there on the interstate, and it was snowing to beat the band. And holy cow, I was like, "Oh, how the hell am I?" I did hit a couple of slick spots here and there. As soon as I hit Knoxville, it was okay. And then as soon as I started going up in the elevation around Knoxville into Great Smoky Mountains, then back down, I got in a little trouble, but nothing that I would expect a 4-wheel drive to, out uh, Z28 to outdo a 4-wheel drive. Wrote 8 pages in 1 hour and 20 minutes about NDE. I will share with. Well, I would love to hear that. If you want to share that with me, I'll drop my link here. At iamdarkwaters.com. Hey there, Forest of Monsters. What's going on with you, brother? Are you still doing? I hadn't seen you active on your YouTube channel there in the last little bit. You taking a break or what's going on with you, brother? So, let's see. Anything else going on in here? Nobody's going to call me? Did I spook you guys from last night? I spooked somebody yesterday. I spooked them to smooth out with remote viewing and saying who was next to them. And I got a picture back with exactly who I described. So I've done that, 3 or 4 times in the last week. Last 2 weeks anyway. Still tripping on the pick vault took. I mean, come on, that thing was creepy. Yeah, go over to his channel. He's got that. Yeah, call and tell us your paranormal experiences. 931-994-6917. If you're not on the YouTube channel, Sean G at I am dark or Sean at iamdarkwaters.com. Shit. Chasing the Truth, Sean G is my YouTube channel. If you're over on say Twitter, which I'm live over on Twitter right now, and I'm live over on Facebook. And wait a minute, I forgot to turn on and do the Paranormal Radio app. I'll be on the Paranormal Radio app as of right now. Okay. Dark Waters channel over the Paranormal Radio app. This is Chasing the Truth with Sean G. I've been live for 24 minutes and 44 seconds. I've got a 2244 combo that really drives me nuts sometimes. And I've seen it 7 times a day. That's 8 times actually. But yeah, Paranormal Radio app, Chasing the Truth is on the air. If you want to call in, this is a live call-in show, 931-994-6917. If you want to run over to Chasing the Truth Sean G on the YouTube, I will drop a link in the chat here in a little bit. And thanks for Red for dropping the number there. There you go. Blues and Red and GNA. So when's your next show, GNA? I know I have not got back to you about what the hell's that? My phone started buzzing for some odd reason. I haven't got back to you, GNA, about the show thing, and I'll try to get. Let me write that down somewhere. It just seemed like everything hit me at once. All right, we've got a caller here. Well, I thought, whoever is from area code 205, call back. 205, call. Oh, right there we are again. Well, come on, buddy. Well, all right. Okay, unscreen caller, you're live on the air. What's your name and where you from?
Hey, this is Chicken Whisperer.
Chicken, buddy. It's been a hot minute since I heard your voice. What's up, brother?
It's been a little while, I guess. Yeah, man. I don't know about what's going on in your state, but in my state, they're putting up, they're installing this new cable system or something. Have you seen it around your state?
What kind of cable system are you talking about? I know that the Way to Go Brandon administration is trying to get everybody on digital internet. So I heard that about that 3 or 4 times in the last few days. So what kind of cable system are you talking about?
Well, I mean, it's all over the place here in central Alabama. I work at Priority Wire and Cable, and they wrap that cable around these big spools and send it out, and that's what I'm seeing installed all over the place. I don't know what it's something to do with cable. It might have something to do with 5G. I don't know, but it's like, either the cable industry, internet, cell phone industry, they're getting down for some reason. I mean, they're really cranking things up. And, it's not necessary as far as the consumer is concerned. It's just something they're doing. Everything's fine the way it is, but obviously to the powers that be, it's not good enough. And so they're taking it up a step or something. I'm thinking it's something to do with the high technology of the end times coming down pretty fast, and along with the price of gas going up and everything. What do you think about that? Down here it's $4.09 a gallon.
I heard early yesterday that it got up to like $4.12 over in Ohio. It jumped up 12 cents or 14 cents overnight. So yeah, honestly, I think this is definitely planned. It has went ridiculous, and then all of a sudden, this price jump has been blamed on Putin. I was like, no, that's not Putin. How the hell is that going to be Putin? But no, I think this is planned. This is definitely to make it more expensive for everybody.
Me too.
So, to what end, I don't know. There's H5. Hold on just a second. Let me make sure I got it right, because a friend of mine. We exchanged some interesting things. Give me just a second. According to DC 7 News, Chickens from 2 poultry operations in Maryland and Delaware have tested positive for the highly pathogenic H5N1 avian flu influenza. So what that means is probably they're going to have to go in, and I don't know if they can inoculate those things or whatever, or go in and just kill the whole crop of the chickens. But I dare say, folks, if you want some chicken, you probably need to go grab that pretty quick. So H5,
Oh man,
yeah, that was from 7 News DC. 7 News DC on
yeah,
Twitter 3 hours ago, actually.
I like chicken. I don't buy them as often as I used to. Every now and then I'd get those boneless, skinless chicken breasts from Walmart, and I'd make my own batter and season it up and everything. And if you get them big old pieces and dig your fingers on both sides and slice through the middle and make them thinner, you can actually fry them up quicker and get them completely done without bruising the seasoning. And the crust will be light brown, and it'll be good. One of the main ingredients I put in chicken batter is sage and black pepper and salt, and maybe a little bit of garlic, not much. Maybe a little more onion powder, but not that much. And I used to put MSG in there, but they say that'll eat your brain, and so it was good, but I didn't want anything eating my brain,
Right.
But yeah, I like to eat me some chicken.
Oh yeah, I had
KFC.
I had some chicken and chips right before I went in there. But I buy this big bag of Tyson air fried chicken, and 26 minutes in my convection oven, and throw a handful of fries in there, just like that. Is perfect. So, but
yeah, I heard. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You go ahead. I just think that I'm probably going to be priced out of doing that, because if what I just read is true about the H5N1 flu or whatever the hell the variant is in that chicken population for chicken growers is true, we ain't going to have a whole lot of chicken on the shelves. I don't know. I'll have to check that out after I get off here. It wouldn't matter because
the fat. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead, brother.
I'm sorry. I keep on. No. I thought you kind of finished. Now there's some pieces that's harder to fry. It takes longer, like the thighs, but you can always bake them or boil them a little bit and then finish cooking them by frying them, and they'll still taste fried. And you won't overcook the batter that way either. But, a lot of people have trouble keeping that batter on. You just take an egg and a cup of milk or buttermilk, and you mix that together and dip them in that, and then dip them in the batter. And you could double dip them also.
All right.
And that's real good. And what I get from Walmart is usually got some marination in it already. They put a solution in. I don't know if it's good for you or not, but if it's not marinated, it's best to marinate it overnight to get some salt on the inside where it won't taste so bland, because that batter only goes so far. You want to have it good and tasty on the inside, not just blah, But yeah, you can cook some chicken better in KFC. KFC's gone downhill lately, especially the one in Ocala.
I haven't had KFC, and I couldn't tell you how long. Last time I had KFC, it wasn't that great. It was very overpriced. I would hazard to guess it is super duper. I would rather probably go and grab a full T-bone steak and buy that out of a top restaurant than go to KFC. So
it's higher, and it's not as good. I remember when I was little and stuff, the best you could get around here came from Tuscaloosa. Vesper was better, and then they built that one in McCalla, and it was never good. They need to get rid of that thing. That's an embarrassment to the franchise. But Popeyes now, oh man, that's a good chicken right there. I mean, they have a lot of good stuff. I hear though that they're cooking it, overcooking it. You know, my mother-in-law ain't got no teeth. Well, she's got some, but she don't like to wear them. They bother her, and so it's too hard for her. You know, and she can't gum it. You know.
I thought does a KFC use pressure cooking as part of the? How can you Well, I guess you could overcook it in pressure cookers, but I don't know.
Well, I don't know if they pressure cook them or not. Pressure fry them. At Popeyes, you know, I worked there as a guard one time because they had a gun threat, and of course, I got a bunch of free chicken at the end of the shift. You know, I'd even mop the floor for them. You know, and they liked me. They sure hated it when the person over that particular franchise decided they didn't need security anymore because they wanted to keep me around. You know, I worked for my chicken. I bring home sometimes 30 pieces to share between my in-laws and me and my wife, and we had chicken coming out of our ears during that time.
Yeah. I'd rather, me personally, I'd rather cook my own meals versus going out any damn day. 90% of the time, 95% of the time, I cook a whole lot better than any freaking restaurant. My personal, taste. But yeah, I don't know. I think what they're trying to do, I agree with Laura that they're trying to keep us from eating so much meat. I think they're trying to, get us over to the lab grown crap, or get us over to a taste for bugs, which I can't. And I'm never going to eat a damn bug unless it's just happened to be part of the. They say that you get like 10%, maybe 10% or 5% of your meal if it's meat or whatever has bugs in it, which that's probably damn true to a certain degree. But I'm not going to sit there and eat a bug saying, well, yeah, what's on the menu tonight? Country fried bugs. Nope, not me.
Yeah, me neither. You know, I heard people taking pizza out of the oven and the roaches just got all on it, and the kids was having to knock the roaches off while they was eating it. You know, and that's just nasty. You know, you don't want to squish into a roach and that yellow stuff squirt out. You know, I mean, I get my wife with that all the time. You know, I gross her out. But, yeah, they probably are trying to keep us from eating meat. And I think they're trying to keep us from going to work, raising the price of gas because during the week.
Well, I heard, not from Chase, but I follow a couple of people on other platforms and stuff. I heard fill up at for a diesel truck is running up to $700-800 a pop. So, hey, chicken, I've got another. Hold on just a second. Let me go ahead, and I think I'm going to have Jennifer Metzger, if she can call in and tell her story. But, buddy, I appreciate you calling in, man.
You're welcome. Just need to pray for the country. You know, I'm kind of worried about the gas prices and all. You know,
I think that's just going to keep on going. But I appreciate you, brother, and I'll talk to you later. All right.
All right, man. You have a good one.
You too. On-screen caller, you are live on the air.
Oh, it's John G.
Hey.
Yeah, it's Jessie out here in Centerville.
Hey, Jessie, what's up?
You scare me with this chicken stuff, man.
Oh, that flu thing?
Yeah, and we've got like food and stuff all on the shelves, and I haven't really been affected by any of this. I feel really lucky, but man, I hear some scary things going on with gas and all this.
I think it's just one of those scare tactics. just create panic, and they'll jump on the damn TV and say, "Please do not go to your gas pump." And what do? We go to the damn gas pump. we'll pay $6 a gallon, thinking that tomorrow we won't have any gas.
Towns are the place to be.
It is what it is.
But I actually I never have paranormal activity to talk to you about. I actually do have some to ask about, because I got two accounts. One was my brother and one was my friend, and this was long ago. And I don't know how interesting this will be, but I'd like to inquire about it. So basically, my brother, he was sleeping, taking a nap one day in the daylight, on his bed, and he was like in this, I guess it may be a dream state or awake. He thought he was awake, but basically he said this old, like, naked dude was crawling on thin air, because he was on the second story, crawls up to the window and started looking around, and he grabs this book. He's like, he's ready to hit this, old dude looking in his window, and he's about to hit it on the head with a book. And then, he kind of wakes up and goes, has this book in his hand, and his adrenaline's pumping. Right. And at that time, I didn't believe anything. Everything was bullshit to me. So I was like, yeah, shut up. You were having a dream. So I just wrote that one off. Obviously, you were just dreaming. Any scientist will tell you. But then my other friend, he said, I guess it's like, it would be like astral projected. He said he somehow ended up above his body, looking at himself on a couch, and he was looking down at his own body, and then same thing, an old naked dude crawling on thin air comes crawling up to his body,
right?
And he's like yelling at it, like, get away from my body. And the entity or whatever it is looks up at him, and then looks and takes his finger and pokes it in his thigh. And then he jumps back into his body, and the very next day had a big cherry horse bruise on his thigh. Now, I know my brother's not lying, and I know my friend, he's not the type of guy that's, like, if he's going to make up some bullshit, it's going to be like, oh, I was a Navy SEAL, or I'm super tough. It's not going to be some dumb paranormal story like this. So I know that they're both experienced what they did. So it's quite strange that the two of them exactly, an old naked dude crawling on thin air. Like, has anyone else reported that? That was very strange that they had the same experience. Something like,
not for me personally. I'm sure there's other reports of that. Yeah.
Yeah, probably just some demonic like entities trying to mess with your body when you're in an in-between dream state. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of strange. I thought I would share it, see if anyone else thought of it or experienced it. But not really super exciting.
That's all right, brother. That's all right. So I got you freaked out about the bird flu, eh? Is that what freaked you out about the bird flu, that story? Let me make sure I got it right. Let me pull this back up. Are you there? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. It did scare me a bit, because that's going to be like we depend on chicken.
Oh, yeah.
Beef's already out ass in prices, and I can barely even afford to eat that. But if they start doing that,
I'll tell you that it's getting expensive to just about eat anyway. So, my grocery bill has increased by about 20, maybe 30% more. But, yeah. Test confirms, I got this up on from ABC7 from WJLA. Confirms 2 additional cases of avian flu in Maryland and Delaware. So, there you go. But,
well.
All right. Well, I appreciate you calling in, Jesse.
Yeah. Just keep praying to Jesus.
I do every day. I do every day. All right. Appreciate you. All right. Jennifer, if you'd like to call in, I'd love to hear that story one more time. And don't worry about being nervous. Gee whiz. I'm just to tell you, I get nervous just hopping on here. I get a whole tangle of nerves. I got spaghetti junction going on in my little old gut every once in a while. But hey, Johnny Cage, what's going on? But Queens Anne's County, Maryland, chickens from 2 poultry operations in Maryland and Delaware have tested positive for highly pathogenic. I don't know why the hell that's hard to get off my tongue. H5N1 avian influenza. So prepare yourself for scarcity of chicken. Which I probably, if it's available, I'm gonna probably buy me a buttload of frozen chicken this weekend for my bi-weekly grocery outing. And then for Laura, she told me that there was a PSA for spiders, and I happened to tell I got bit by a black widow back when I was married. Oh, gee whiz. How long ago was that? That was, shit, 20 plus years ago? No, not 20. Probably 18. I want my month back. I got hit by a black widow, and it shut down my kidneys almost. I think that any spider has a death wish around me. I don't care what it is, but yeah, I get that. Wow, is all I can do. But apparently, the Northeast United States is going to have flying spiders drop in on them. I was like, well, shit, I'm going to have to get some shotgun shells, a whole lot of them. There'll be some blown holes in this old house. But, or get some Aquanet. Do they still sell Aquanet? Aquanet is actually pretty good to get rid of spiders. So, Deer Slayer, what is going on, brother? 931-994-6917. Thanks to Jessie and Chicken Whisperer for being the first 2 that broke the egg to get this show running. Yep. 931-994-6917 if you want to call in. And definitely want to talk to Jennifer and get her back on. It's been, what? Jeez. How long ago has it been since you've been on my show? Told that incredible story from your teenage years about your boyfriend sneaking over and seeing you. And there was a dogman in the field that came running up, and he did not want to go home and rather be caught by his parents and his, and whatever happened to that. But make it home. I had to call his parents to get him a ride home because of the dogman thing. But definitely want to hear that story again. That'd be cool. Long time. I'm calling. All right. That's cool. But definitely be kind to Jennifer. I absolutely 1000% believe her story. And I know that she could probably, I know she got a lot of flack for it. And I honestly, that's just crazy. Isaac, what's going on, brother? Cool show. Yeah, it's definitely, this show is made by you, the listener, the callers that call in. I don't know why in the hell you want to listen to my Southern accent and my crazy witticisms. All right, we got a caller. Maybe this is Jennifer. I don't know. All right, unscreened caller, you're live on the air. Hello. You're live on there.
Hello, are you bleeping? Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. So is this
awesome? This is Jennifer.
Holy cow, it's been a hot minute.
How are you doing, Sean?
I'm doing all right. It's been a hot minute since I talked to you. Lord.
It has, since all the stuff with all the Hot Pockets, and when I refused to go on the Voldemort show and all that. Yeah, that was crazy.
Oh, well, I hate that you wound up going through all that. But
well, it had nothing to do with you, sweetie. I understand that completely. But I'll happily tell my story again on your show. Like, the issue wasn't with my story. My story became an issue after I basically voiced that I wasn't going to go on his show and wasn't a fan. And that's when they tracked me to my Facebook page and kind of attacked me and all that. But
oh, geez. Well, let's start.
Where would you want me to start? Like, do you want me to start with the reason I spent all my time in the barn as a kid, or just get to the point where I had snuck out when I was 17?
Let's start at the beginning. This is a story that needs to be told. Let's start at the beginning. Why did you like to stay in your barn? I know you had some horses. So let's start at the beginning.
Yeah, horses, mules, goats, chickens. That was my family. Like, I grew up in a very strict religious upbringing, but ironically enough, my mom ended up marrying an alcoholic who was very abusive, but didn't really show his true colors until after they were married for about 2 years. But like, it was just out of sight, out of mind was the safest way for me to survive. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday night were the worst when I knew strip clubs all closed between 3 and 3:30. So I needed to be out of the house so I wasn't drug out of bed and beat, yelled, berated, whatever. So my animals in my barn became like my happy place. So from about 2 a.m., 2:30 a.m., I was tacking up my horse and I was heading out in the trails. Like, if I'm not there, I can't take the abuse or deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much. And on the weekdays, it was fine. He had to work, so he was drunk, but it wasn't as bad. So I was pretty much safe to stay out until about midnight, and then he'd pass out, and then I could come back in. So it's like my family, my home, a sanctuary became my barn, my animals. It was just how I protected myself. But even growing up like that, I was still supposed to go to church and smile and act like my family was great and all the things that come along with that.
Right.
But so I spent a lot of time outdoors. Like, the nighttime never scared me. Like, it was much safer in my barn or in the woods with my animals than it ever was inside the confines of the walls of my house. So that's kind of like, people, like, they always talk about, oh, Dogman is so scary when you see it, or this, that, and the other, in the instance that you see it, but it's the lasting effects. Like, what I saw was so terrifying that it took away the sanctuary and protection of the outdoors, I guess, for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to explain it. Because when you walk under a hayloft, you're always wondering, okay, if I just saw this thing outside, is there one sitting up in the hayloft? Is there one watching me in the woods? Is it going to attack my animals?
All right.
All this sort of thing.
So
that kind of like put me in a position where I was outside constantly. So that kind of explains why I was always outside every night and why my animals became my family and why everything was so much the way it was.
all right.
But that all changed when I was 17. I was a junior. My first boyfriend ever was a senior. And I'm not going to lie, I had snuck out to meet him because we could not see each other outside of church events. Teenage kids do what teenage kids do. I don't feel guilty at this point in my life, but I had snuck out and to meet him. He had walked to my house, and my porch had a wraparound porch, and on all edges of my porch was about a 6-foot hedge. So you could see over it, but people looking in couldn't really see you. It's the kind of hedge that's solid, that has like these little blue and green berries. I don't know what kind of plant it was, but anyway, I had snuck out to meet him. And we were hanging out on the porch, not gonna lie. We were kind of kissing, doing what teenagers do, and we heard this crashing coming through the trees. And where my porch was, there was also a creek that, well, I call it a creek. Most y'all call it a creek.
I call it a creek.
River, whatever, had ran through the front property. And there was a well house. A well house, to me, it was about a 6-foot by 10-foot building made out of solid brick with a flat top roof. And directly about 3 feet from the well house was a yellow amber street light. But anyway, I've always been an animal nut, so I know what animals look like. I understand what animals look like. Plus, I spent so much time in the woods at night. Like, I thought, okay, maybe there's 2 raccoons fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even, we do have it was a just a primate, but they had tigers, stuff like that, sanctuary in our town. I thought, well, maybe even a lemur had escaped, or like my mind was just going through all these animals that, what is the sound crashing up the creek? Because it literally jumped from tree to tree. It never touched the ground. You could literally hear. And at one point, we both obviously had stopped at this point and looked up from the trees, and we could see the trees moving. Like when it jumped from tree to tree, it shook the whole tree. Like you could hear it. But obviously, I went through, okay, is it a raccoon? Is it a squirrel? Did a lemur escape? Is it even a monkey that escaped? Because what jumps from tree to tree? So both of us are staring, and eventually, what leaped out of it was actually about a 3-story pine tree, to the flat top of my well house roof was, even to this day, I sound still so stupid explaining it, but it was literally a bipedal creature with a dog head. It wasn't hideous. It wasn't ugly. It was just so hard to wrap my brain around what it was. And you hear people talking like, oh, Dogman is huge, it's hulking, its muscles were like the Hulk, and then its waist was defined. No, this wasn't like that. It was more built like a basketball player. And I had grown up with horses and trained horses my entire life. Mm-hmm. And the impression I got was that it was lanky and long, somewhat like a 2-year-old horse or mule. It's like it was tall and long. It had muscle more like a basketball player, but it definitely wasn't the Hulk creatures that people explain. But it was definitely bipedal. It leapt from the trees, and I had my boyfriend with me at the time, and we're staring at this thing like, what in the world? And it had leapt from like this 3-foot pine tree onto the flat top roof. Sorry, babe. And it landed there. And when it landed, it sort of looked right, left, but particularly back in the direction that it came from. Like the entire time we saw it, which I know it seemed much longer than it was, but its head stayed straight, but its ears kept moving, flicking back and forth. Like it was more concerned with the direction it was coming. Looking back on it now, I truly feel like something was chasing it. I don't know what it was or what it was scared of, but it was panting. I know I need to slow down and go into the description of this thing because people are going to want to know that. Mm-hmm. It had a tapered waist, but it wasn't, like I said, it didn't have huge muscles. But I'm telling you, I knew the difference between a lemur, a red panda, any creature that came out that flunked from tree to tree. I know what those look like. This blew my mind. And it was directly under an amber colored street lamp. So there was no shadows. There was no thinking, okay, this is a person in a costume, because I saw all of its muscles under its fur. And I always get emotional when I talk about this, because to this day, I don't go outside after dark. I don't even feed my horses after dark. And this creature never even intimidated me. It never even acknowledged our presence. But it was definitely upright. When it landed, it was completely quiet on the roof. It kind of nodded over its shoulder in the direction that it was from. Its ears were constantly flicking like it was assessing the situation. Between my porch and where it was probably 15 feet, maybe 20, because we had our porch, the driveway, then the well house. So I got a clear view of it. And people say, oh, you had to see someone in a costume. No. When it was panting, like I saw its teeth, I saw its tongue, I saw its mouth gaping. Its nose was wet. Like I saw its nostrils flare. That's how hard this creature was breathing. And he asked me at the time, he's like, "Are you seeing this?" I'm like, "Yes." He's like, "What the H is this?" I'm like, I don't know what it is. And he literally said to me, "Well, you're the animal expert, and you know what the F is this?" I'm like, "I have no idea." And it did look in our direction because he had raised his voice at that point, but it still wasn't concerned with us. It looked one more time over its shoulder and then had leapt down in a leap that I can only describe as maybe a cat would make or a panther. When it landed on the ground, it was so fluid, like it made no sound whatsoever. And it landed on the ground, and within 3 bounds, there was a creek, like I told you there, and it had gone down the creek bank. When its feet touched the ground and was on the same, basically level ground that we were, that's when he had jumped up and was beating on my front door because it was locked, because I snuck out my window, I'm not gonna lie. And it hit the ground. It was gone in 3 minutes, and within 3 bounds of it hitting the ground, it was gone the opposite direction that it came from, down the creek bank. Like I heard it splash. I honestly understand I'm rambling, but I always get so nervous when I talk about this, even though this was 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, yeah, like he beat on the door till my parents answered the door. And for anyone to understand this, he came from the same church I did. So we knew we were screwed. But I begged him, I pulled his hand away from my front door and like, don't wake my parents up. I said, "You've just got to go home. We've got to stop this." He's like, "No." He's like, "I am not walking home knowing this thing is out there." But it never, it didn't even acknowledge us. It just seemed so much more concerned about where it came from and where it jumped down.
So
But
it
with him
didn't.
beating on the door,
It didn't look at you.
front door.
It
Go
didn't look
ahead.
at. It didn't look at you or your boyfriend at all.
What, honey?
Did it look at you or your boyfriend? This big Dogman looking thing.
Yes, the one instant he raised his voice, it looked directly at us. How it saw us peeking up over the hedge, I don't know. But it's like we were definitely an afterthought. Never were we a threat to it. Not ever were we a concern of it. It seemed so concerned with whatever it was running from. Like when it was coming up the creek bank, like it was so fast, leaping from tree to tree. And when it leapt down, its ears never stopped. I don't know if anybody has horses, or like when you have a horse that's nervous and their ears split constantly, and they can turn almost 360 degrees. Its ears never stopped. And it was panting so heavily. That's what gives me the impression that it was fleeing for something.
Oh, okay.
And for years, I called it a tree monster. This was way back. This was in 1994. We didn't have the internet. Dogman wasn't a thing. I guess there was probably the Van Helsing video or movie, but that never really crossed my mind. But like for years, like literally 10 years after, I still called it a tree monster because to me, it was a monster that leapt out of the trees. It wasn't until I became obsessed, basically, trying to figure out what this was.
Got a couple questions for
you.
you.
Put the pieces together.
Got a couple questions for you. Laura.
Go right ahead.
Laura wants to know, what did the eyes look like? Did you get a look at
people keep asking me, were the eyes glowing? The eyes never glowed. You know, when you see like a deer or a I don't know, any animal basically that you shine a light in their eyes, they reflect back. And this has led me to believe through my research that so many people believe that a dogman's eyes glowed. When it turned its head and it caught that street lamp's eyes above it, yes, they glowed. but much like a raccoon's would or a deer's, they didn't ever give off any light above or beyond that. It's not like they were internally glowing, which I don't know what that means, but so many people said the eyes were glowing. I saw it, and I often, when I sit and ponder, and I have tomato boxes or banana boxes full of notebooks of research I've done over this 20 years. And this thing's eyes did not glow internally. It was only when it turned its head that it caught the street lamp above it where its eyes actually reflected.
So it wasn't an eye shine. It just what exactly did you see? A color of any kind, or was it just black and you can just see
It was
glisten?
basically, it was the same exact eye shine that you would see from a deer or a raccoon, to where the back of it gives off that golden color. It has a little bit of red, but it's more golden.
All right.
Like that, it was not glowing. It was not like some light was coming within. To me, like, I believe now that there may be some of these creatures that are ethereal and some are flesh and blood. 100%, I believe this is flesh and blood, because I saw its chest raise. I saw its tongue come out when it breathed. I saw its nostrils flare, and the eyes only glowed under the street lamp when it turned its head a certain light away and it caught the light. Never was it glowing eternally.
All right. Did its head move any particular odd way, or just fluid movements?
No, everything about this creature was so fluid. It reminded me, and like I said, I've studied, I volunteered at my local zoo. Like, seriously, the way it moved reminded me of a big cat. Everything was so fluid, from the way it landed, the way it leapt from this. Imagine the well house was about 7 foot tall to the ground. It's like its body absorbed the shock, and it did go down on all fours. When it hit the ground, 2 leaps were on all fours. Then after that, it stood up, and then it was the 2 leaps down the creek bank. And when I say the creek bank, our creek bank was like cut down. I don't know if you've ever seen one where it's like, maybe it was dug in at one point in time, I don't know. But the top of it was like 8 foot on either side, and at the bottom of it, it was like a straight down.
Sort of like somebody went in with
maybe.
a backhoe to kind of offset if there's some flooding or something like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think they did that honestly for flooding in the area of towns we lived in. We lived on the edge of town, rurally, like we were probably a mile or 2 from town, because I did say, we live on a farm. But it wasn't so, like, this creek ran through the nature preserve. It seems like they dug it out deeper to prevent flooding. That's what I honestly think, but I have no proof of that.
All right. Let's see. Well, I was about ready to ask this, but Bonita in the chat wants to know, did any of your horses or livestock, did they wind up missing, or how did they react to this thing being close to the barn around them?
Every night, like when I say, like, we had all these, I don't know if people know what hunter trails are, when you have hunter horses, right? So we owned, I don't know how many acres, I'd have to ask my mom, but all through the acreage, we had trails cut, which I used to show hunter jumpers. So we had jumps set up, so I would go through the woods all times at night, not by choice, but because this is my safest place to be. And I just would practice everything. But at night, my horses were in the barn. My animals were in the barn. And that's just because we had a really high, what I believe was a coyote level at the time. I don't know if this creature had, or any other creatures had, any dealings with this. But we had coyotes kill goats, baby goats, not any of our horses. But we lost a lot of chickens, ducks, peacocks. I just can't. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it was Dogman, because I don't know. It could have just been coyotes.
Right.
I know at one point the town put a bounty on the coyotes in the area because they were so populated. But I never saw any. Even when we were on the trails in the woods at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, my horses never really acted up, or when I was riding them or anything like that. No.
Okay. So this creature, whatever this thing was. Can you describe its hair, its fur? Was it kind of wet, matted, muddy looking, dry, greasy?
No, this is burned in my mind for the rest of my life.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to tell you, this creature was not huge. It was only about 6 foot, maybe 6 foot and a few inches. It was definitely bipedal when it leapt from the tree down to the ground. I cannot tell you to this day if it had a tail or not. I don't know why I can't tell you. I could lie and make something up, but I'm not going to. I do not know if it had a tail. It was on 2 legs. It had the backward facing hocks. I don't know if you know what a horse's leg looks like, but that's very much what its legs look like.
Oh,
It did have a tapered waist. That, like most people, Dogman or whatever you want to call it, was this hulking monster. No. This creature's muscles, it was more built like a basketball player. It was more lanky and tall. It definitely, people have questioned me on the head a lot. Well, how do you know it wasn't baboon? How do you know? If I could combine a wolf, a German Shepherd, and a coyote into a head, that's exactly what this looked like. The hands are what.
So where was
haunt
this?
Me.
What state was
Go
this?
ahead.
What county was this? What county and state was this?
Indiana.
Indiana.
Boone County.
Okay.
Boone County, Indiana.
And
the hands, and people always say Dogman has this 6 foot long claw or 6 inch long claws. They were huge. They were like knives. They were like, no. It did have long claws, I'm not going to lie. But what I saw was more like 2.5, 3 inch claws. These were not the ones that I've heard so many people describe in their stories. And that could just be because this was a juvenile. It could be whatever bloodline this creature. I have no answers. I just know that the claws were not what I've heard so many people describe. And I could see the fingers because its fingers moved. When it was standing there, when I tell you its ears flipped constantly, almost 360 degrees, listening, but focusing, like, I'm good at I don't know how to describe this. I've trained horses my entire life, so I'm like cued in to pick up on animal movements and what they're thinking. So much of what this creature did reminded me of a young, scared horse. Like, his ears just constantly moved. Its fingers, it's like they twitched. God dang it. I wish I could, I wish I was an animator so I could create this. But the fingers never stopped. The ears never stopped. The nose flailing out the nostrils never stopped. So the tongue was out of the mouth.
I'd like to ask a couple questions about the hands now from my lengthy discussions with Vault. Did the hands look like gibbon hands? Long.
I know what a gibbon is, tall, and the fingers.
The fingers are long and lanky, but not not like not like you see in the illustrations and stuff that you see. They got man hands and then big old claws, but the gibbon's hands are really lengthy, long, lanky digits
with pronounced knuckles.
Right.
That's exactly. And people have said, and I've heard this over and over again, that the hands look like human hands with claws. No. The knuckles were fat and round. Even the thumb. And I know exactly what a gibbon is. Like I said, I volunteered at my zoo, and that's one of the enclosures I had to clean out. The gibbon hands are very similar, but they're still not the same. The knuckles are fatter, and the thumb, the thumb almost looks like a peanut. Do you know what a regular in-husk peanut looks like?
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's honestly what the thumb looked like. And the 2 things that freaked me out the most were obviously the head, but then the hands, because the hands never stopped moving. And it was directly under an amber streetlight on this well house roof. So I don't know how long it stood there. But to me, time was just forever. And the hands are something I will never get over in the face. Like, people, I don't know what people, and I'm sure there are other species. I'm no expert. No one's an expert. I don't believe this is a gukui. I don't believe it was a Sasquatch. It was definitely no person in a suit, because when it heaved its air in, because it was panting, its coat, like you could see its muscles and its chest go up and down. And this is one thing that's really weird that I've contemplated a lot over the years. The coat was black, but it was also green. And I don't know if that was the street light, because it was an amber orangey street light and made it look that way. But the tips of the coat on the fur seems a more orangey green color, or more green color, not orange. Sorry, I misspoke.
That's all right.
Seemed more green colored than they did black on the tips. So the whole thing had a green hue to it, but I could tell it was a dark color.
Did you hear it growl or breathe or anything like that? Any kind of other than just hearing it move back and forth?
The panting, absolutely. This thing was out of breath. It was running. Like had I just run barrels on one of my horses, that is exactly the way it was breathing. Like it was definitely filling its lungs in and coming out. And it seemed so concerned with the direction that it had come up from the creek. Like it kept looking over its shoulder in that direction. The ears were almost always flicked back to that direction. And then it finally seemed like it was sure that it could, I don't know, come down from the trees or hop off the well house. And that's when it had done the leap and gone down to, and it, like I said, the creek was probably 8-10 foot, I don't know, down to the bottom. And then we heard it hit the water 3 times and it was gone. By then he was beating on the door. My boyfriend, parents were up. We knew we were screwed at this point, but he didn't care. He refused to walk home after seeing what he saw. He was a senior, but his truck had something wrong with it. I don't know. But yeah, so we both ended up getting, his parents did come pick him up. We were both grounded for 3 months. It was a whole freaking nightmare.
I can only
But
imagine.
there was nothing I could do to convince him to not call his parents at that point.
Holy cow! So, for the folks that have not been raised in that type of environment, that Christian environment, you literally, unless it was just like she said at a church event, you were not supposed to be around the opposite sex. At
No,
all.
school and church events were absolutely it.
Yeah. So
that's when we could see each other. And I don't want it to make it sound like I was scandalous. Like I was 17, he was 18. I was still a virgin for 2 more years, so I'm not like scandalous. It's like I wanted to see my boyfriend. He was getting ready to go on vacation for a couple of weeks. I wouldn't be able to see him. It's like looking back on it, it was so innocent. But what we saw, like for years, I thought was punishment. Like I thought it was God punishing us for how I was raised, or given what I was raised in. I've since then stepped away from the religion, and it was just so ironic, giving my home life, everything being so religious, but the abuse and everything that took place. And my mother was actually worked for DFC. She was actually one of the head people there. So any complaints or anything about bruises or everything that ever came in from my teachers, she may disappear. It's just a big long story, but there was a reason. Like people don't understand like the repercussions of see. Like everyone wants to see one, but when you do, like I don't know, maybe just in my case, like I can't, even to this day, I'm 41 years old, and I can't be outside after dark. And this thing never looked at like threatening at me. It never attacked me. It just knowing that it's there, like I don't understand. Like people want to see these things, and that's great. I support that. I mean, there's so many things in the world I believe that we're not told about, but when you see one, it changes your existence. So after seeing this, knowing it was out there, like I couldn't be outside after dark, so it made my life a whole new hell because I had to deal with basically the monster in my house. But it was less scary than what I saw outside of my house, even though it never threatened me, it never hurt me. But when you see something that you're told doesn't exist, and I mean, its claws weren't huge, but they were at least 3 inches. I mean, it was an upright walking wolf. What else can you say? I mean, people say they don't exist, but when you've seen one, it's like, yeah, they freaking exist.
Right.
These things are out there, and
All
it
right.
didn't hurt me. It didn't threaten us.
Okay,
But
I'd
I
like to.
don't believe that they're not responsible for some people's disappearing.
Okay, I want to go back to where you and your boyfriend was, doing what two crazy kids would be doing in the dark. But
Mm-hmm.
what was the first instance that you remember something was afoot and something was coming at you? What did you hear? What did you see? What was the first, holy cow, what's coming through that field? What was it?
Yeah, we were sitting there. We were behind, like, all the way around 3 sides of my wraparound porch. Like I said, with these 6-foot hedges. We were actually on a quilt under this, on the porch, but still there was about 3 to 4 foot of the hedges that stood up. It was the crashing through the trees. Like, that's literally what I thought. Like, oh my gosh, those are some loud squirrels fighting in the trees. But then they kept getting closer, and then my mind went to, okay, these are gotta be raccoons fighting in the trees.
Okay.
But then it kept getting closer, and the noise was so loud. I thought, well, did a lemur or orangutan escape? Because there was and is, anyone can look this up, a sanctuary in a town I grew up in that had exotic animals that has a permit for that. So I thought, well, maybe it's one of those. It wasn't until it was right and we could see, like, there's the well house, there's the lamp straight beside the well house, and
Right.
there's about a 3-foot pine tree on the other side of it. So it goes pine tree, well house, lamp, all within about 12 feet of each other. It's when that tree started shaking, and then it leapt from that tree onto the well house roof that we heard it crashing, but once we looked, we had been looking up towards the sound that it was coming from. And those were just all the thoughts playing through my brain, and we were just both staring, like, kind of mouth gaped, like, what is this? And then it appeared on the roof.
So it appeared on the roof of your barn, correct?
No, like a well house where we live.
Oh, okay.
Okay, a well house is like about 6-7 foot tall, and it's only about 4 or 5 foot by 4 or 5 foot. Basically, the only thing in a well house is a well pump,
Mhm.
which we had well water. We didn't have city water. So, where you have the handle that pulls out, that's wrapped in electrical tape so it doesn't freeze.
Mhm.
And then I think we had our snow shovels in there, and then there's shelves in there that we put our canning on, like our mason jars where we canned green beans, strawberry jam, all that kind of stuff was in there. So it wasn't a building. It was literally, and it has a completely flat roof. It was made out of cinder block. And they're very common where I live. I don't know if anybody else lives in Indiana on your feed or not, but I'm sure they
Yeah, I
know what I'm
think
talking about.
Red.
But that's what it leapt onto the roof of.
I think Red has a Dogman story that she's going to call in after.
Awesome.
From Indiana when she was a little girl. So yeah, I've heard.
Really? In
Yeah,
my state?
yeah, in your state. So
That's amazing. I can't wait.
so did you happen to go around that that little pump house and look after the fact the next
The
day?
next day?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the next day during the daylight, I went out there because the whole time I thought, okay, was this a dream? Was it not true? But I knew it wasn't. But I think I was in denial because obviously I was grounded for 3 months and everything that happened. 3.5 months. I was grounded until I graduated. Anyway, but yeah, it had thick grass on all sides of it. And then I don't know if anybody knows what blue button. They're like most people plant them as wildflowers, but they're a blue button looking flower, and they were planted on all sides of it just to kind of make it look nice. I don't know. But yeah, there was no tracks whatsoever, and it was great. It was basically from the well house, there was our driveway, which was gravel. Then there was the dirt road, and then there was a little strip of grass before it went down to the rocks, down to the creek bed. But there was no tracks that I saw, and I did go and look. And I did try to go out a couple of days after that at night and try to like go back to my normal life of hanging out in the barn, but I couldn't. I don't know how to describe it. But eventually, I don't know if I ever went into this, but yeah, eventually he had called his parents. His parents came and picked him up, and that was the end of us seeing us until after graduation. But yeah, I mean, if anybody has any questions at all about what it looked like, I can describe it.
Yeah.
But and his ears were definitely they. I don't know if I always go back to horses because that's what I know the most.
Okay.
But the ears, they definitely turn 300, almost 360 degrees like a horse's. And they're not quite on top of the head, but they're not on the side either. They kind of like fit, not like an owl's, but I guess maybe like a German Shepherd's. I don't want to sound stupid, but.
That's the best description I've heard so far from anybody. What did you tell your parents, and what did he tell his parents? Why?
Oh, we saw a monster.
Okay.
Absolutely. We said we saw a monster. And they were not having it. They were like, you're making this up. And we're like, why would we wake you up? Why would we go through this had we not seen a monster? Because they tried to kick him out immediately. They were like, get the H out of my house. Why are you here with our teenage daughter? Blah, 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 blah. We're going to contact your parents. He's like, no, oh, you're right. You're going to contact my parents. You're going to call them now because I'm not walking home. My lovely drunk stepdad tried to push him out the door and tell him, no, you're getting the heck out of here. You're getting off my property. How dare you come to see my teenage daughter? Which, being a mom now, I get all that. But no, he insisted, like he made sure they called his parents. And I don't know how many people grew up like I did, but it's not easy when everything's a sin and you're burning to hell for this and that and the other. And it wasn't a choice we made lightly, and looking back on it now, after researching it for 20 years, probably I wouldn't have thought the way I did or wouldn't have insisted on these things, but we had no clue. We were 17 and 18. Dogman wasn't a thing. The internet wasn't a thing. This was back in 1994. I mean, it just wasn't what it is now.
Yeah, what was that?
But go ahead.
Back in 94, I think there was web TV. You remember that? That big fad?
Mm-mm.
There was a little bitty box that you go, hook up to the back of a TV, and then, you could rudimentarily just go from page to page or whatever on the internet. I had that one back in 94. It was dial up.
Well, you're a lot better than me. We didn't have that.
Yeah, but that kind of triggers a few memories back then. But there you go. Let's see. Johnny Cage wants to know: did the face look exactly like a dog's face? What breed was it? Can you go in some sort of comparative detail?
No, it didn't. That's the thing. Like, people have asked me this. Like the few people I've confessed to in the community, like I don't tell regular people because they all look at me like I'm crazy. But it was definitely like not one specific breed over another. Like it wasn't a majestic timber wolf. It wasn't a slim coyote face. It wasn't colored like typical German Shepherd. It was its own entity. Like I guess if you were to mix the three, and I know most people won't get the differences in them, but one has a longer snout, which it did have a longer snout. It didn't have a short snout. It definitely had a pronounced snout, more like the German Shepherd or the timber wolf. And it was definitely all dark colored, head to toe. Like this to this day makes me wonder if it was just the amber light making it have that green tint to his coat, or if somehow that is built in to maybe how they camouflage themselves, because you think if they're in the woods and they can take on that green coloration.
Okay.
But if I were to put my black gelding under my orange light, it would still take on that kind of green color anyway. So I don't know what that is.
Okay. I'm going to ask for speculation because you've already said that you have no clue what was going on, that it was worried about or looked like it was antsy about something chasing it in the woods. Something. So what did you come up with in your head to explain that, or is it still blank?
No, it took me probably years of processing this, that I really think it was being chased by something. Now, whether this was, like, you got to understand, people, how deep I've dug into this over the last 20 years. Like, I have researched this to the point, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, I probably seem obsessed, but I still don't know at what point they're driven out of their pack, or if they live in a pack, or what time the mom drives them out, or the alpha male drives them out, or if it was being chased by someone who had saw it maybe in a chicken coop. I have no idea. But every fiber of my being, even to this day, leads me to believe that it was scared, that it was running from something. And then when I tell people, I mean, it still had that lanky look. It did not look like an adult. It still looked intimidating as heck. It still looked like it could do some damage, but it didn't look like an adult to me. It had a lot of features that reminded me of a 2-year-old horse or mule, the way it was lanky, the way it was muscular, but not really muscular. Like, I really do get this feeling that it was a juvenile of some sort.
So, well, got two questions. One, the follow up to this. Do you think did it look like it was a healthy specimen or whatever it is that you saw, or was it sickly?
No, it was not sickly at all. Like, I could see muscle, but I couldn't see, like, and I've been around animals my whole life. It was not malnourished. It was not thin. It wasn't even hideous. Like, some people describe them being hideous and ugly. It wasn't. It literally just looked like if you took a wolf, stretched it up on its back legs to about 6'3", and obviously its rib cage, it had a defined waist, the rib cage was more defined, but when it breathed, I could see its muscle tone moving. Nothing about this thing led me to believe that it was malnourished or sickly at all, or that it was, I know some people say skinwalker. It wasn't ugly. It wasn't as pretty as what I think a timber wolf is, but I was terrified of it. I mean, who wants to see an upright walking wolf over 6 foot tall? But that was, I think, more what I took on. But it never threatened me. It looked at us maybe one time.
Would you think, Alara in the chat wants to know, would you think this thing was a werewolf? Maybe.
I have such a hard time believing. I believe that a skinwalker, from what I've researched from Native Americans, is different than what a werewolf is. Like, this is my own personal beliefs. I find it hard to believe that a person can transform into a werewolf and then go back to being a person. To me, this seems ludicrous. Some people can disagree with me. To me, I believe like this was a flesh and blood. This is just how this creature was born, how it exists, how it moves. Just watching its hair and muscles move up and down. It would stood there for quite some time. Like, I don't know how long to describe how long it stood there. But since there was literally basically a street lamp within 8 feet directly on top of it, I took in all these things. And I think me being an animal nut, and I still am, had allowed me to take in these details. Just watching it heave, watching its tongue go in and out as it breathed, watching its nostrils flare, watching his ears flick, his fingers move. Like, it was definitely not ethereal. This was not a ghost. This was not a skinwalker. This to me was like, this creature just exists and it's born like this. And you can disagree with me, and I'm not going to say you're wrong. This is just my opinion.
So go back to its hands. What you remember of it? Could it pick up a pencil or a pen or some sort of tool and do
Yes.
something with it?
Yes. Oh my gosh, these hands. Each finger was moving individually. I don't know, like, I know this sounds so stupid and I sound like a flake and a crazy person, but you know when you see someone play the piano and they're playing one key at a time and they go dun 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 dun, that's exactly what the fingers did. Like for me, this creature could pick up a stick just like we could, or a raccoon could. It definitely had the opposable thumb,
Okay.
but the thumb was not long as the fingers. It was definitely more of a peanut type shape. And I think the most time I spent on this entire creature, like I said, was its hands, because they were unlike anything I have ever seen in my entire life. And even like I've researched the heck out of this. I just still haven't seen an exact drawing of hands that look like this creature's hands. Like I've seen similar, like you said, the gibbon. Yeah, the gibbon's very similar, but the knuckles were big. The claws weren't right. Like the thumb was much shorter, almost like a peanut with a claw at the end.
Were they, did they have bare knuckles or was it all hairy?
Hair all the way down, and it did turn its hand at one point where I could see the other side did not look hairy. I could be wrong about this, but it looked more like the skin that I saw showing through its chest, because it wasn't scraggly, it wasn't muddy, it wasn't dirty, none of that. But I could see skin through its fur. It wasn't a dense coat like a German Shepherd or a wolf, but it was definitely a thicker coat. But on the palms, definitely the one I specifically remember this thing turning its hand over, and the hair was not the same on the top as it was on the bottom.
So was the hand looking like it was fidgety, or was you mentioned it looked like it was playing piano keys?
The hands and the ears never moved. Never stopped moving. The entire time it stood there. Like it was pretty much, its body was stationary, except from every so often it went from its weight to one foot or the other, and it did look over its shoulder from the direction it came. But I'm telling you, those ears and those hands never stopped. Not for a second. I don't know if it's something these creatures have a nervous tick, or maybe it's I don't know, but the hands and the ears never stopped for a second. They were constantly moving.
So, have you ever had nightmares about this thing? I know that you don't go you don't go out in the evening, which kind of goes along with the Dogman kind of description, if I believe them. Which, interesting enough, if I use that particular thing, there's one Dogman description that I kind of disbelieve now. But have you had nightmares of this? I know it's trauma.
I'm going to sound stupid, okay?
No,
my practicality, my intelligence side says I camp and I travel with my horses and my mules all over the U.S. I am not all over, pretty much from the east and southern. We've been out west probably a few times. Anyway, I know in my heart of hearts, in my intelligence, that if these creatures wanted to attack me or eat my horses or any of that out in the trail during the daytime, they would. I understand these creatures are seen during the daytime, but I think it's because I was so traumatized by seeing it at 3 a.m. that somehow in my screwed up mind, I think I'm okay, even though I know I'm not. It's just how I cope if I'm inside by sundown. The nightmares that I've had, like even when I'm out, like saying it's close to dark. Say it's like 5:30 and it's summertime, so it don't get dark till 7. And a rat or a mouse runs across my hayloft above my head.
Okay.
It's embarrassing, but I will run to the house. Like, I'm never unarmed outside. I understand they could kill me during the day, but it's just,
Well,
it's so embarrassing.
from the description you told me, you and your boyfriend was out on a blanket out in the middle of your yard between some hedges in the middle of the night, and it knew you were there, and obviously, apparently, could a couple, 3 or 4 jumps, it would be right on top of you guys, right?
Absolutely.
So if it wanted to, go over and mess with you, shake your hand or worse, it could have. So yeah, I would assume, your description of it was looking over its shoulder. It was more worried about whatever it was that was tracking it down or chasing it. Did you, prior to this event or after the event, ever hear any kind of weird wolf or dog activity, howls, or anything like that?
No, I didn't. I never heard anything that was already around. Like, the neighbors always blame, like, we lived in a rural community. So lots of people had goats, sheep, calves, things like that would come up missing. But they always blamed it on coyotes. That's the biggest predator we have here. So it was like I constantly wondered if it was always coyotes. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, I understand biology. So if this creature exists, and to me, in my mind, even from that night, I didn't think it was full grown. Now, maybe like a teenager. I'm like, there has to be more. And I think that the idea and understanding that one can exist on his own, I think, is what always traumatized me. And some people can think they just zap in and out of portals, and that's fine. I don't know any better than anybody else. I'm just saying, to me, that's what haunted me. Like, I saw this one that I don't believe was full grown. What on earth would a full grown one look like? And is all the deaths in my area truly from the coyotes? And there was a bounty put on coyotes in my area because there were so many deaths of calves, goats, sheep in my area. Chicken houses being raiding. Like, we lost peacocks. Peacocks are pretty hard to get. You don't keep them in a hen house. They go up into the trees at night.
Right.
Like, really tall trees. But they were still getting feathers and nothing else. So it just makes you wonder.
I had a omelet made of peacock eggs. That was interesting.
Did you really?
Yeah. It was
How was that?
It tasted like egg. My ex-wife, her then almost 100-year-old grandma, up in a place called Money Hunt Holler, had peacocks all over the damn place. It was just, she brought home these eggs one time, and I was like, "What are those? Those are huge compared to just regular hen eggs,
chicken eggs."
Yeah, it was regular chicken, and it was like, yeah, and she made it, and I was like, "Dadgum, this." It tasted like a regular chicken eggs, but it was big. It was a big ass omelet. Is all I can tell you. Let's go back to the description of this, whatever this thing was. Did it have a hunchback? Was it straight back? Did it look like it was predominantly 4-legged, and that's how it traveled, or did it stand up and look like it was at ease standing on 2 legs?
I haven't really. I don't think people understand. When I say this thing, like, to hear it coming, it leapt from tree to tree exactly how you would expect a flying squirrel or a lemur or some kind of primate to do. We heard it coming at least 10 trees, if not more, up the creek bank. When it caught that tree and it stood there and swayed for a minute before it landed on that roof, when it touched down, by then we were looking in that direction because we heard the trees. We heard them. We saw them swaying. Like, what in the heck is coming towards us? And I'm telling you, we weren't but 20 foot from this thing. That's just beyond terrifying, even though I'm shaking, like, sitting here. And I know I get out of breath talking about it because it's just terrifying. But anyway, when it landed, it went down and its knuckles from its one fist touched the roof, but then it popped straight back up and it stood there. and it stood there the entire time. I did not notice a hunchback. It seemed to be perfectly perpendicular, like it was not hunched over at all. Even when it turned slightly to look over its shoulder, like I said, to look from the direction it come, I didn't see any kind of hunchback. But when it did go from that one leap from this, I guess about 7-8 foot tall well house roof to the ground, it seemed like it grabbed the ground on all fours. And then it popped back up before when it was right on the cusp of the edge of the creek. And then it did jump down the creek on two legs. What it did when I got down there, I couldn't see. By then we were running towards the front door. So I can't say, it didn't seem like one was preferred over the other. It seemed like it was very easy for it to go from 2 legs to 4 legs, if that makes any sense.
Okay, yeah, makes perfect sense to me. I've never seen one, but I've had it described to me, and that's you have the best description I have ever heard outside of. I don't even think Vault has described it that well. So you're right up there.
I've always been told I have a photographic memory. Like that's just like, and I think it traumatized me so much. It stayed with me for all these years. Like I think about it every day, basically.
Oh wow. Well, you're that obsessed from a 20-year-old memory. That shit really rocked your world seeing that thing.
Yeah.
So you were 16 at the time or 17?
No, I was 17, almost 18.
17? Okay.
Yeah, first boyfriend, high school, junior, almost senior.
Have you talked to this old boyfriend since then?
We talked off and on for years, and we had brought this up a couple of times. He has since died from cancer.
Oh.
If anybody wants to go and verify that, they can look up John Iddings out of Indiana, and his memorial page will look up if they want to make sure I'm not just making that up. But yeah, he has since passed away from cancer. I think he was 28 at the time.
Sorry to hear that.
But yeah, it was horrible. And we weren't together, but I mean, it's my first love, so you know how that goes. But yeah, we did talk about it. I think it was harder for him. Like the few times we did talk about it, he was open the first couple of times, but then after that, he just shut down and didn't want to discuss it anymore.
So, what did his parents react to since they had to come in the middle of the night to go pick up their boy?
They hated me after that. Oh yeah, they blamed me for corrupting their son. He wouldn't have been there had I not called him. Blah blah blah. And I can understand that. I have a son now. He's 12. Like I get it, but I mean, and I'm not making excuses. It's just we were just a junior and senior. We were each other's first loves. I don't know. We just loved each other. Wanted to hang out, and it was just really hard given how our families were.
Wow. Let's see. So, from the point you heard this thing you thought was squirrels in the tree to it leaped into the creek bank. How long was the entire encounter?
I've asked myself that so many times, and I think that time stood still to the point from where we heard it coming up the creek bank. I think that time was probably seconds from it leaping from tree to tree to tree. I think for me, my reality froze when it landed, and my brain went through every species of creature I know, and none of it made sense. I honestly cannot give. I'd be BSing you if I could tell you I knew how much time it stood there, because to me, it lasted forever. And maybe that's why it wasn't there that long, and that's why I can't tell you whether or not it had a tail. I don't know. I just know that I spent the majority of my time going from hands to face, thinking, what is this? You're not stupid. What animal is this? What's wrong with you? You know this. That's really what played out through my mind the entire time.
Well, honestly, it's been well over a year, maybe 2 years since you've told me this story, and I can't remember any kind of discrepancies from the last telling to this telling. Other than I get the distinct feeling it is just as fresh in your mind as it was 20 years ago.
Every time I go outside out of dark, it pops in there. I don't know how else to explain it. I don't know that I'll ever
So you
forget it.
still in Indiana, or where are you now?
I'm actually from Florida in Indiana. I'm getting ready to move back down to Florida. Like, I was a Florida cracker, born and raised, and then my grandpa died. My family moved here, and then now I'm to the point I'm getting ready to move full time back down to Florida. But then they see Dogman sightings. I guess they're pretty prevalent in Florida, so I'm not. I don't know, and I don't hate. Don't anyone think that I hate these creatures or I want them. Like, I've been a vegetarian since I was 9. Like, I don't want death upon any animal. I don't want. I don't hate them. I'm just. And this thing did nothing to me. It didn't threaten me. It literally looked at me. But I think if we were honest with people, if we told our kids these things exist, I think they wouldn't be so traumatized when they see them. Or, like, I did tell a few people after I saw this, people that I had been friends with for my entire life mostly, and they all looked at me like I was crazy. So if you know someone and you trust someone and they confess something to you, like, I learned to shut up quick and keep it to myself. It wasn't until the last probably 17, 18 years that I was willing to admit this again. I mean, I still studied and researched the heck out of it, but I just wouldn't talk to people. So if you trust somebody and they come to you and tell you they saw something, maybe don't make fun of them. Maybe don't write it off immediately. Like, maybe listen to what they have to say, because they might be telling you the truth. There's things I believe that we're just lied to. I don't know why we're lied to, but there's so much more to this world, and I think we'd be much better off knowing it.
Right.
From the afterlife to cryptids to I don't know why we're lied to, but there's no one on this earth that'll convince me I didn't see what I saw. I know what I saw.
Why we're lied to is information. It's control. We want to control you. We want to make you think certain things, and especially the afterlife and this stuff. Uh, why and how, to what ends, I don't know. Once we cross that threshold of we're no longer here, and we're over on the other side, there's none of that stuff. You automatically know everything. But wow, Jennifer, I appreciate you going through this whole thing. I could hear the stress in your voice. It sounded like you relaxed just a little bit there. Time
At the end, yeah, I could tell when I was starting, my heart was racing so fast. I'm like, did I take my heart medication today? So I apologize, everybody, for being so nervous in the beginning. Like, I don't know how to describe, but it just, like, it makes my skin crawl, like, just talking about it at the beginning. But I do kind of calm down when I get into it and start. If someone can help focus me on the facts, like Sean does. This way, Sean's such a great interviewer, and I encourage any of y'all, if you got a story, to just call in and just let him help you get through it, because you're not the only one. There's others of us that have seen these things.
Well, thank you, Jennifer, for the second go around at this, second bite out of this apple with you. It's an amazing story. I have yet to hear anybody go in such great detail. You can actually hear the inflections and the trauma in your voice. You obviously, this was straight from memory. Had you on the camera, you probably, your face would tell the story for sure. But
I'm sure I'd look like a fool. My bottom lip's been quivering the entire time.
Oh, geez.
So I appreciate it, Sean, so much. And I appreciate you making me not feel crazy and just giving me an outlet to tell it. Because I know I'm not the only one. I know people have seen these things. But I do also want to point out that I know a lot of people have a lot more exciting stories where Dogman tastes them and they growled at them and they bared their teeth or this, that, and the other. I understand my story is just kind of benign, but I just encourage people to understand that it's not. It's just knowing they exist. That's what changes people.
Oh yeah. Yeah. How many times have I told this incredible near death experience? I don't have, I can't say, hey, I woke somebody up in the middle of the night to, my boyfriend was here. We weren't supposed to be doing this. All those little details. All I've got is I've got a missing leg and a tail to kind of go along with that. You have a fantastic
Right.
tail. So it's amazing.
I appreciate it, man. And I do apologize for being so nervous and shaky. I know it probably came across in my voice.
You do not need
So,
to.
but
You are absolutely one of the best people I've ever interviewed about anything that has to do with any of this paranormal, supernatural, holy cow kind of thing. So you did fine. You did fine.
thank you.
You did absolutely wonderful. So holy cow. Thank you, Jennifer. Again, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you overcoming your nervousness, getting on here and doing this. So
No problem. I love your show. You're a great guy. You've always been great to me. And like I said, I don't blame any of the Hot Pocket stuff on you. So don't feel bad about that.
Well, my Hot Pocket experience has actually calmed down quite a bit. I've had a couple here and there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't bothered me since then, since I blocked so many of them. And I'm like, no, I just don't care for this person. I'm not going on her show. And I just left it at that.
Well, thank you for coming on. Now. Yeah, thank you for coming back on and retelling that. There's a few people I'm sure would, go back and re-listen to this show, which is absolutely fine. Heck, anytime if you've got any other encounters or ghost or UFO encounters, I'm pretty sure you probably do. Maybe, I don't know. Do you have any other encounters?
I just have 2 paranormal encounters, but this is before the Dogman encounter. But I can call back, like you said, Red's calling in, but I'd be happy to share those.
Oh yeah, anytime you want to do that. If I'm live and I got the number popped up, you are more than welcome. Or just say, "Hey, Sean, how you doing?" "Oh, good. What'd you eat today?" That kind of conversation. I'll be more than happy to have that conversation with you too. It doesn't have to be about this kind of crazy stuff that we're talking about right now. But I absolutely believe you, Jennifer, without a doubt. I don't have a doubt in my mind that what you went through and what your boyfriend went through 20 years ago, I have no doubt that was real. So
that's exactly what we saw. I don't know what else to say other than that. I certainly wouldn't have changed my life the way I did had it not been like that. Because like I said, in my barn, my animals were my sanctuary after dark. That was my safe place.
Yeah. Well, since you can't get in and get out after dark without having a lot of anxiety and being, having a weapon on you, getting out, that goes hand in glove with all the details that I had, the people that I believe had an encounter. I absolutely believe it. So.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that, Sean. I look forward to hearing Red. I know she said she was going to call in, and then this makes me feel glad to know that somebody else has seen what I've seen, and that I know I'm not the only one, but it's just always good to hear confirmation.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right. Well, Jennifer, you have a great night. If Saturday night whenever I'm on, if you're on and have the time, I'd love to hear those paranormal stories you got. You just referenced.
All right, I will definitely call back, Darren. I'm always in your chat, always there to listen.
All right. Well, God bless you, and thank you again for re-gifting that story to us.
Oh, thank you so much. All right, guys. Sorry if I sounded nervous at all, and I'm sorry.
Oh,
for anyone who's heard this before, but I appreciate them. I appreciate you too, Sean.
All right, you were absolutely 1,000% great. And, I didn't have any problems with you telling your story. You just laid it out online. Fantastic. All right, you have a good night, and if Red wants to call in, you can call in, Red, or whoever else. But good night. Have a good one. Thank you.
All right. You too. Bye.
Bye. So give it up for Jennifer. Wow is all I can tell you. Just a second. Let me write something down. There we go. She actually reminded me of a couple of things I need to write about my near-death experience, believe it or not. Yeah, Dark Woods, this one, this one has actually been a pretty damn good show for so far. Red, if you want to call in, you can certainly call in 931-994-6917. Or anybody else. Whoever is the first one to leap for that phone and call that number, I'll give you a ring a ding or give you a talking to. How's that? So did you believe Jennifer? Or did you have problems with Jennifer's story? Which, I absolutely disclose I have no problems with what Jennifer said. But, we live in a world where people have different opinions. But Jennifer, 1000%. If anybody saw something that looked like a Dogman, I absolutely believe she did. So we'll see. We'll see. Red may be a little, Oh, wait a minute. Wait. All right. Unscreened caller, you're live on the air. What's your name? Where are you from?
My name is Sally.
Hey, Sally.
I'm a little hesitant to share my story.
Okay. What's going on? What kind of story you got, Sally?
Well, I had too many years of hauntings and stuff. I don't know what to do.
Okay. Well, I'll start at the first story and we'll work through it.
I appreciate that. I listened to your show for many years.
Well, thank you.
Sometimes it helps me go to sleep.
I've heard a bunch of people. Oops. Oh, just a second. Let me get to. Why is that ringing? I don't know. Are you still there? I'm going to have to hang up on this one. Oh, I believe I hung up on both of them. I don't know why that was coming through on both ends. I apologize. Sally, let me see if I can call Sally back. I don't know why that was ringing on my end twice. That's kind of crazy. Hopefully that didn't go through, but it did go through on me. But let me see if I can call Sally back. Let's see. All right, let's see. Okay, is this Sally again?
This is Red.
Oh, hey, Red. Sally, let me just say, Sally, I apologize. I don't know what was going on with my audio equipment, but oh crap! Well, I'm having a vault moment. Something was wanting to try to install. That might be it.
We've had a lot of weird stuff going on here at the house, so it could be that.
I don't know, but I don't know why. I don't know why in the hell this
thing.
thing.
I'm not sure where you want me to start.
We'll start at the beginning. What's going on with you that you wound up thinking that you had a Dogman encounter so many years ago when you were a little girl?
I was about 8 years old, and this is when all this stuff started happening. And it didn't really jog my memory until I was talking to Chaos about something I had seen and about this whole thing going on with Little Bit. Okay. And he said, did you ever have any dreams as a child or anything like that going on? And I can remember it was 1978, and we lived in Miller, Indiana. And I had two dreams. And let me just clarify this. My dad was a police officer. We didn't watch spooky movies. Everything was either black or white. There was no in between. There was no such things as ghosts. We didn't talk about that stuff in my house. And so for me to have the dream that I had, and I was actually physically attacked in my dream when I woke up, I had scratch marks on my feet. And I dreamt that these two large black werewolf-looking creatures, and at the time I didn't know werewolf. I just saw like a dog face. And I was really nervous I was almost in tears listening to Jennifer's story, because when it reached out to grab my feet in my dream, it had those hands. And I woke up and I ran into my stepmother's, it ran to my stepmother, and And I told her about my dream, and she says, "Oh, it was just a nightmare." And I showed her my feet, and I clearly had scratch marks on my feet. After the 2 days of having the same dream, the consecutive dream, same thing happened, scratch marks in the morning, I could not go to sleep that next night. So I sat there and I looked out my bedroom window, and my bedroom window looked out over the woods, because we lived in a part of Miller, Indiana that's by Indiana Dunes.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were like a block and a half away from Michigan Lake. And so it's nothing but forest and sand, and then you have the lake. And there's this black thing. I didn't really see any features, and I was only 8 years old, so I can't remember a lot of it, but it was standing out there in the trees. And I just remember thinking, I'm just going to go hide under my blankets. I'm not going to move. I'm not going to try to go to sleep tonight. And that's all I remember from that. Now you take it 20 years later, you know, I'm in Arizona, and how it had to be more than 20 years because my son was, and he started working on a ranch. This is when I had a full on, this is not a normal wolf sighting. And we were baiting for coyote, and it was a bunch of us, his friends, the rancher that he was working for, me and my ex-husband, or my husband at the time, were out there, and we were baiting for coyotes because they kept getting the sheep, or so we thought. You know, I seem to tend to think that it was whatever this thing was. And we had the grandkids with us too. So I put the tailgate down on the truck. We had just got done baiting for the coyotes. My son and my husband at the time went off to go at the bait sites to see if they could sneak around and see anything. And I'm sitting on the tailgate with the grandkids and the mamas, and we're looking down the trail, and this thing leaps across the road, and I don't even know, it did not register. I just started like throwing stuff in the back of the truck, and I'm like, we need to go. It was a large wolf, and it was nothing like Jennifer explained. It was a wolf, like paws, everything. But the back legs were bent very weird. Like, I don't even know how to describe what the back legs looked like. They were like it had a heel, and then it was elongated in the back, and the hair was really short, and it was a light colored. It wasn't dark. It wasn't brown. It was more tannish and white, and it wasn't really thick, and it did have a snout, pointy ears, and it had a bushy tail. And it leaped across the road in one bound. It didn't even, it was like a trail, and you could barely fit like the truck through there. It wasn't really the road, but I remember seeing it, and I just started throwing stuff in the back of the truck, and I'm like, we need to go. We need to go now. And so listening to the descriptions of the Dogman versus skinwalkers or werewolves or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still trying to register what I saw, because it was inhumanly large. It didn't look like a normal. It was huge. It was huge. And I'm still trying to register exactly what I saw.
And did it see you? Did it register from the point of view of whatever this wolf was? Did it see you?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not sure if it did, because they were out, wandering all around in that area. So I don't know if it had seen them and was trying to like outrun them or get away from them, or because it didn't look in our direction or anything. It just leaped across the road, and the direction it was heading was towards the river. So it was headed towards water. And I'm just like, what did I just see? It's almost like that video of that dire wolf that you guys had shown. It was bigger than that. It was huge. It was just inhumanely large, like something you'd see in a movie. And I'm just all like, no. And I'm still to this stage, I'm like, yeah, was it? No.
Okay.
And that was one of my big first things that I saw, and I just kind of like dismissed it out of my head. I'm like, I'm not even going to talk about this. We're going to think I'm nuts.
Oh yeah. So, is there anything in that area like with Jennifer? There was a reserve around her area? Was there anything like that? Preserve, animal preserve, or reserve that could have, had a escaped
Um,
animal?
no, no, we do have. We're surrounded by a lot of Indian ruins. Like, I mean, we're encircled by Indian ruins. Um, and then this happened. It happened by Sycamore Canyon, and that's the area that we were baiting. And I know that if you Google that, that's what I did. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna Google this, and I'm looking it up trying to see if anybody else has seen anything like this. There's a lot of weird stuff in Sycamore Canyon, and I'm like, well,
Oh, yeah.
so I don't know,
So let's go back to the description
but
of this thing. Let's see. James Jack in the chat wants to know: did it have any spots? What color was its fur? Was it matted? Did it have a winter coat on?
it was it wasn't matted, and it didn't have thick fur. It was tan and white. It had a long snout, pointy ears. I couldn't see the eyes because it was like going across the road, and the way we were looking at it, I only saw the profile. So I couldn't really see exactly what color the eyes were. It had a bushy tail though, which was weird because the hair was short and it was tan and white and it was kind of like mixed together. And the front legs were like a normal wolf's and they had mud like up towards the paws area. And in the back legs, this is what freaked me out. This is not normal. The back legs were weird. Like they would go down normally, but then it would point off. And then it actually looked like it was like feet, but paws, and it had a heel. And it was really weird. It was weird. I've never seen an animal with that shape of back feet before. It was very strange. And then there wasn't any, you could see, and the reason I was studying the back feet is because it was just weird. You could see, the tendon by the paw area, and it was really weird. It was just a strange, I don't even know how to describe my feelings when I saw it. I'm just looking at these back feet and I'm looking at the size of this thing and I'm like, no. So and a lot of people tell me I saw Skinwalker. Skinwalkers wouldn't be that big, would they? I mean, this thing was huge. It was huge.
Well,
If it would have stood up, it would have been about 9 foot.
Well, Skinwalker is a mix of a person versus ethereal. So who knows what that is?
Right.
How
But
long
it didn't
was
have
this? How long?
fingers, and it didn't have. It was a straight on huge wolf, just with weird back legs.
So were they same haunches that you would see on a regular canine, or was it like a human kind of bend?
No, they were. Yeah, it was more human-like, but they were paws, but it was elongated, and the way that it's so hard to describe on the phone how it looked, but they went down and then they would go to a point at the heel and then go back again forward, and it was a paw, but it was very long. Like, I don't, it's so hard to describe it, but you could see the tendons in it where it would bend off and like it could stand up on its feet. But the front legs were paws. That's what I don't understand. And it was all paw. It was just like a straight on wolf. It was huge.
Well, James in the chat says Skinwalker crossed his mind after the comment about the bent legs.
About the what?
The bent legs. So I honestly, Skinwalker, I kind of get into the gray area of how much of this with the Dogman. I know Elizabeth in the chat. Oh, geez. Hold on a second. Let me pull it. Laura Elizabeth in the chat said something about 7 different types of dogmen, and I'm kind of like, okay, how much of that is fanboy fiction versus what real encounters? I've heard of probably about 3 different types. I have not heard as many descriptive stories as, say, dog or dark waters or vault or anything like that. I've got about three in my head that kind of, you know, differentiates between the three, but seven different ones. That's like describing, the different types of Bigfoot: type one, type two, type three. This and that's sort of like pulling out a monster compendium from D&D and saying, okay, well, here's this, kind of stuff. I kind of,
Yeah.
does that make sense? I'm kind of rambling right now, but
Yeah. No, I get it. I don't think I saw a dogman. I don't think it was a dogman because all the descriptions that I'm seeing and hearing don't match up with what
right.
I
So
saw.
this was just a big,
So it's got
huge,
to have been something else. It
like
was
a
a large
dire
wolf.
wolf type of thing.
Um,
Could it have been sort of like a dimensional shift and a portal opened up? I'm just spitballing here, and something jumped through the portal and you seen it, or dimensional shift and this kind of bled through.
I don't know. I think it's always kind of been there. I mean, maybe that's where it came from. I don't know if it's just always been there. There was a lot of strange occurrences out there. I had another encounter that happened in that exact same spot, only this was involving ghosts, paranormal, blue lights. You ever hear the Brown Mountain Lights?
Oh yeah, my dad, God rest his soul, here in Southwest Virginia, he used to live on a ridge in High Knob, and he literally, you were eyeball to eyeball with the next ridge, and he described the same Brown Mountain Lights going down into the valley below. Yeah, it
Yeah,
just freaks me out. I was like, holy hell, that happened to you, Dad? And
yeah.
then,
And I didn't learn about that until because my son lived out in that area, so we'd have to drive down that same road every single night to drop him off. And we all went back there, and it was him and his girlfriend and his best friend and me and my husband at the time. And we're taking them all home, and we decide to stop and pull over at this same spot. And why, I don't know. I'm into the paranormal. I'm all like, a glutton for punishment. And and so we stop and we all get out of the van except for the girlfriend. And she's all like, I'm not getting out here. I'm not getting out here. We call this Spooky Hollow. Do not get out of the van. And I'm like, oh no, come on. So we all get out and these blue lights start, it was almost like a beam. And they would hit in one area and then hit and then go off and then hit in another area. And they're just beams coming from up above us. There's nothing there. We're just seeing these blue lights everywhere. And they're getting closer and closer and closer. And about this time, I'm getting in the van and I look over at the girlfriend and she's crying. And we start hearing this noise. And I'm all like, I'm afraid to say anything to her because she's already upset. And she looks at me and she goes, do you hear that? We need to go. And I'm all like, okay, what are you hearing? And at the same time, we're all like chanting. And it sounded like women, Native American women, singing. And we turned to our right, and there is a see-through man wearing a loincloth and a full-on long feathered headdress. And he's just standing there with a tomahawk. And he's just standing there. He's not even looking at us. But he was like bluish see-through. And we're hearing this chanting. And about this time, we're screaming for everybody to get in the van. And we're afraid to drive by this thing. So the girlfriend was driving. She hops in the back. I gun it, and we get to the house. That was the experience. And that's what led me to look up, has anybody else ever seen this? And that's when I found out about the Brown Mountain Lights.
so
That
these
was one of the most terrifying experiences I've ever had.
so these blue lights, let's go back through this because the way you're describing it and the way I was processing what you were describing,
Okay.
did these lights, did they change into something like a body or a person, or were they all just lights?
It was just like a faded. They weren't like boom, like like bright blue light. They were like a faded, misty blue light beam. It was a beam. It wasn't like little balls of light. It was a beam coming out of the sky. And it would like shoot down and then stay there for a second and then disappear and then shoot down in another spot and then disappear. And as it's doing this, the beams are getting closer and closer to us.
Wow. That sounds like what something I saw with my brother on a mountaintop on one of those ABC towers, kind of deal. But there were four lights, going around, and it would shoot up into the sky and then disappear, then come back down. It was 3 or 4 different colors.
Yeah. This was just it. It remained like a blue misty color. It wasn't like really, really bright, but you could tell that it was blue, and it was like a misty, like a light blue, misty kind of beam. Very strange. And as it's going on, I'm thinking, no, beam me up, Scotty. I didn't know what to think, and then we start hearing the chanting, and we saw the Indian, and her and I were the only ones that saw that apparition.
Okay, that's where I got the apparition from. So you heard chanting and then saw the Indian. Okay, I got you. All right. I was kind of trying to put that together. It's like, did the blue balls turn into? All right. So JJ in the chat sounds like Red has some ancestral spirits around her, which I from what I gather, you probably do in spades. So.
Absolutely. With everything that's going on here at the house, I firmly believe that we're living on I'm sure everybody's heard of the Trail of Tears.
Oh, yeah.
And here in Arizona, we have what's called the Apache Trail of Tears. And it's when the fort here up in by Flagstaff, there's a fort here. And what they did is they marched a lot of the Apaches through this area down to Gila River, and that's where they remain on the reservation. And it was called the Apache Trail of Tears. And men, women, children, a lot suffered, died. They even have a school where I'm at that they took some of the children from their parents and put them there. So there's been a lot of bloodshed in this area. I'm surrounded by ruins, like completely surrounded by Indian ruins here in Arizona. And I'm up in northern Arizona, so a lot's gone on up here. A lot of bloodshed.
Right.
A lot of,
Probably,
I know that
probably some makeshift graves up through there,
research on this. Oh, go ahead.
I'd say there's probably some makeshift graves where bodies disappear and they wind up in holes out there in the middle of the desert up through there.
Yeah, I did some research on that. So Sycamore Canyon, I was talking about that earlier, out by where my son lived. When they did the road out there, they just recently paved it like 3 years ago. But when they bulldozed the road out there, they bulldozed through bones, pottery shards, everything. And I believe that a lot of people around here do believe that they went straight through sacred burial ground. So I believe there's a lot of angry spirits around here.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's what is here at my house. And I think that's what we're trying to break now.
Do you have a line to a priest or somebody that could help you out with that?
Not anybody that really truly believes, believe it or not.
Wow.
Believe it or not. I've spoke to a pastor, and I had an affiliation with TAPS, the Ghost Hunters, out of Phoenix, come up here, and they definitely got some EVP recordings, some growls, some hisses. They picked up a couple of EVPs where they asked whatever was here if it meant them harm, and it said, not now, which means, well, when, And I'm just all like, great.
Is it not now? Is it not now?
I think we more than...
If they come a little earlier, then what? Not now. If they come a little earlier, we would, they would have been at the end of a pointy stick, or after if they stayed a little bit longer, or what? What do you think?
They actually put me in touch with, they have like a Catholic priest that they wanted me to call, and I tried getting a hold of them, and they won't touch it. They won't touch it. Yeah.
It's
So
interesting.
I'm kind of on my own.
Well, I hope what I have shared with you helps a little bit. But obviously, I'll be praying for you and in a little bit and your family. I'll just include you in my round of prayers daily and see if that helps.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Uh,
Definitely doing bad out here right now.
oh yeah. Well, I can honestly tell you the prayers that have come into my house has definitely helped. Whatever was going on in here, it's calmed it down
Yeah.
quite a bit, and my life is actually kind of settling down now. So I'm quite happy.
Amen.
Amen with that. So yeah. So this, have you heard any chanting around your house? You mentioned that with the blue lights and seeing this apparition. Have you heard any kind of Indian Aboriginal chanting or what?
No, the things that have gone on in the house, my father passed away in this house, which is just kind of strange because I saw him an hour after he passed away go through a wall. And there were a lot of mirrors where he gave up his spirit away. A lot of strange things happened here since he passed away. We've had cabinet doors open and shut. We've had TVs go, our electronics are constantly messed with, which hasn't happened in quite some time, but recently in the last 2 weeks, it's been going on again because we're in battle with this thing. And I know that when we moved in after my father passed away, we were remodeling the bathroom. I'd love to get Tina in on this one. We were remodeling the bathroom, and the way that the house is set up, you've got your base floor in the bottom part, and then you've got another layer of flooring, and then you have insulation and the boards, and then you have your top flooring and then the carpet. So we're tearing up the carpet. Why you had carpet in the bathroom, I don't know. We're tearing up the carpet, and we lift up that floor because we're going to redo the whole floors and everything. And in between the top, you have the carpet and then the floor, and then we found bones. And they were perfectly cut. So something was cut and buried between the top floor and placed on top of the insulation. And so we called the police department to come out, and they did take the bones. And because the house was so old, we don't know how long the bones had been there. There wasn't even any marrow in them. The police did take them, and they sent them off to Phoenix to do analysis on them. And there were no conclusive findings because they were so old. And they told us that had something come back, they would have to rope off my whole house. We would probably have to find somewhere to stay. And when we did that, that's when everything really got bad. So I'm wondering if, we unleashed something. I don't know.
So do you think that these bones might have been a talisman of some sort?
What?
A talisman, sort of like something a part of a ritual to sort of like a binding prayer or a binding whatever? Okay.
I think it was some type of witchcraft.
Wow.
I do. Because there's always been such a, Tina nailed it on the head when she said that there was a heaviness over this house. That's always been present, always.
So how old is
always been this heaviness.
How old is this place that you're living in?
70s.
1970s?
Long time. Yeah. Long time.
And do you you mentioned that there's some Indian burial kind of ruins around your place? And do you think that this might be built upon one of those ruins?
It could be. Very well could be. Very well could be. I know that I'm trying to piece everything together with everything that has happened. I know that my son and his girlfriend finally moved out of that place that they were staying out there because it was crazy out there that they came here. And when they were living with us, They were babysitting a little bit when she was only about 4 or 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And we were out of town on our way back home, and they called us on the phone. My son was literally, he was like 17, 18, somewhere around there. He was screaming on the phone, "You need to get home, Mom. You need to get home. What's going on? What's going on?" And he looks across the road, and he's all like, I'm looking at this thing, Mom. You need to get home. You need to come home now. You know, he was legitimately terrified, and I can't be with my children. You know, I'm in a car on the way home on a mountain pass, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to get home to my babies. I can hear a little bit crying in the background. The girlfriend's crying. My son is screaming on the phone. You know, the dog ran after this thing, and so they're looking across the road, and I'm like, what do you see? He's like, oh my God, Mom, it's bigger than the stop sign. It's long. It's white. It's so tall. And what he described looks like a gray, but it's not. He said it didn't have the facial features. It was just two beady little eyes, and it didn't have a nose, and you could barely see a mouth because it had no lips, and just two holes for its nose, and its hands were past its knees. It was taller than the stop sign, and it had claws, and it was pure white. And the way that he described this thing to me would be what some people would consider like the rake or a crawler. Because when I showed him these pictures, because I'm trying to figure out what difference I said, see, I'm showing these pictures, and he wouldn't talk about it for the longest time. When I went to go see them about 2 weeks ago, he explained to me exactly what it was. And he's like, yeah, it looked like that, only this thing was huge. And it was just emancipated.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost like a skeleton with just the skin and no muscle and no hair at all. It was just pure white. And it was going over into the neighbor's yard. The neighbors have a 6-foot fence. And as it was stepping over the fence, like just stepping over it, like, you know, it was nothing. It turned and it looked at him, and it moved its leg back over the fence, and in 3 strides went across the road and into the alleyway. And he said, and it was gone. And our dog, we had a wolf hybrid at the time, went after it. And he just said, I didn't know what to do. I just went back in the house, and we're still trying to figure out what this thing is.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was a skinwalker and it made eye contact with my son, is that the heaviness that's over the house? Is it not the heaviness? Has the heaviness always been here? Was it here? A lot of questions.
Hold on just a second. I had to hide a hot pocket that popped up, but apologize for that. Okay. Sorry about that. I have to rethink real quick because I had to pay attention to something. I apologize for not paying attention to you. I had to take care of a hot pocket.
With the hot pocket.
Yeah,
I'm not in there to zap them.
Well, no, this particular hot pocket, I believe I know who the hell it was, but I got rid of it on my channel. So, unfortunately, and anyway, that being said, have you've obviously you and I've had offline chats here recently. When you do these prayers, does these things react to you? These things that are in your house that obviously is painfully aware with you in a little bit. Do these things react to you?
Absolutely. I have to do it every 3 months because you can feel it amping up again. And when we do it, we hold hands and we go from room to room. I got some anointing oil, and I cross everything 3 times. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Hand. I tell it it's not welcome, and I go through that whole thing. And I even do vents because any way in is a way in. And I go through the whole entire house. I do the back door when I'm in the back room, and then I move to each and every room. And the last thing that I do is my front door, and I kick it out. The only thing that I haven't been able to do is the yard. And I'm not sure what to do about yard. Because if I can create a barrier, I've prayed, but if I can create a barrier in the yard, then it has no way in to get to the house, you know? But you can definitely feel it. It will start emanating a fear and a doubt in us while we're praying. And I just stomp it out. I just stand up. You know, the one thing I tell a little bit is that never forget who we are. You know, never forget who we are. Our Father's the Alpha and the Omega.
Right.
Nobody's going to beat that.
Absolutely. I have written about that so many freaking times, how consistent God is, throughout
Absolutely.
my near-death experience. It's just one even kill, whether, hey, it wasn't like smack me across my nose with obviously, what I had shared with you, you probably will learn this here in a little bit if you haven't read what I shared with you. It took
Yes.
my leg to straighten me the fuck out. So that being said, I had to have an intervention with God to straighten my life out, and I'm glad that happened. But it also, it opened up doors that I had never thought of before. Like, okay, there you go.
Amen to that.
But that's part of the. I hate to inject my near death experience, but I live and breathe that. I have been living and breathe this thing
Love
for
to
the
hear
last
about that.
27 days, and it'll be 28. Well, I have 27 days, and it's just one of those things that actually a couple of my friends said, Sean, you need to take a day off from writing this. I said, honestly, I don't know how much longer I've got. What if I pass away tomorrow? Who's going to take care of this? So I've kind of got a dead man switch. I need to set that up and make sure, if I don't show up tomorrow, somebody will have access to what I've written so far. And then hopefully, they can delve out what I've written so far. But I'm going to have to come up with some sort of dead man switch to get what I've already written out. But,
we'll speak life. We'll speak in life over. It's all about
I'm not saying I'm going to die tomorrow.
And intention.
Yeah, I'm not going to die tomorrow. Actually, one of the things that, as I was writing this thing, I actually asked God, if you're going to take me now. If not, then what? And I woke up with, it's not time yet. That was the first thing that come to my head as soon as I woke up. It's like, not time yet. Okay. And the next thing I knew, I was sitting there writing like a beast. But
I truly believe that the testimony that you have to share with everybody, God will bring it to a completion. So,
let's see. Doll actually asked, wonder if she felt like it was trying to intimidate you with fear, whatever is at your house.
When I was praying?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. You could feel the heaviness and the push. I mean, like it wasn't like a physical push, but you could feel that darkness coming at you, like fighting against you. And so you just stand. And I know I've prayed a couple of times, and God's voice does answer. He does speak, and he told me, he said, "This is what I need you to do, daughter. Show up to the battle. Do what you need to do. The battle's mine." But he uses me as an instrument, and he uses all of us as instruments if that's what we choose to do. And so in any instance like that, when I do that, I stand up and I suit up and I say my prayers and I banish this thing and I tell it to get out of my house. And it's a constant thing. It is something that I have to do all the time. It would be amazing. But it is definitely afraid of God. It is afraid of Christ. It is afraid of those things. And so when you confront it with that, it's going to test you because we're human. And it's all like, let's see if I can put some doubt in her. Let's see if I can scare her if I push at her like this with this darkness. last night it happened, and Little Bit had some nightmares, and she never has nightmares, to the point that she ended up in my room.
Oh,
And
wow.
we prayed about it, and we grabbed our anointing oil, and we went in the room, and she stands right there with me. She knows who she is in Christ, and she stands right there, and she comes in, and she was going to go back to her room, and she says, it's still in there. I can feel it. And it's that darkness, that heaviness. So we prayed. She's good today.
So they get rid of it. The heaviness can go away after you did the prayer together. The anointing.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It does.
fantastic.
It does.
Fantastic.
But it's a constant thing. It doesn't just go away for good. We have to keep doing it. It's a constant thing. And so I'm thinking, do we have to move?
Well, I would think if you keep on the right path, the path that you're currently digging at, it's all intent. Like I said earlier today to you,
Right.
it's all about intent and inviting God into your house. Eventually, if it is not of God, it will get the hell out. So
Yeah.
let's see.
Well,
Wait a
thank
minute.
you for letting me share my stories.
Well, I
I've
appreciate you.
not talked a lot about them. A little bit in chat, but not a lot.
Yeah. Let's see. Said Dark Woods wants to know. Wonder if there's a one time type of prayer that will constantly work. I
That's what
have.
I'm wondering.
I think.
I think with little,
Yeah, go ahead.
go ahead.
You finish your thought.
I think with Little Bit's abilities that it's going to be a constant thing. I really do, because she's a special kid, and I think that anything that's spiritual that brings it will bring things like that, and I think she's meant for bigger things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in the spirit realm, these things are constantly going to try to dissuade her or build her up, either way, which way it goes. But she's always going to have that presence, I think, around her. And it's something that she is learning to deal with.
Well, anybody from what I have seen, and I've written about this, and probably said it a couple of times to some friends online or whatever. But one thing that I have seen with this conversation or whatever you want, this discourse I had with the devil, the one thing that it was hidden from me at that time, which obviously it kind of got revealed as I was writing about it through God, that this thing is removed from God's grace, removed from ever feeling God other than when God's wrath comes upon it. It desperately wants to hear the echo of its maker's voice. And how it does that is torture us. It make us miserable, so we cry out to God for us that are, inviting God into our lives. It wants to feel that. It knows it can't, it is more or less it's in an abyss right now, from God.
Right.
But it desperately wants to feel that echo, to relive that being in God's grace. And there's a whole lot of other myriad of things. I kind of wrote about that a couple of days ago, and it literally it zapped me. I felt fucking depressed for at least 24 hours after I said, okay, that's enough. I can't dip into that barrel as much as I did in the last 2 days. But yeah, it's just crazy stuff that was going on. Crazy stuff.
That's amazing that you say that, because Little Bit had told me one time that even demons and things like that yearn to go back.
Oh yeah.
And they know that they can.
Absolutely.
She told me that, and I'm just all like, what are you talking about?
Yep. I agree with her.
They want to go back, but they can't. And so they constantly yearn for that, you know, and they're subjected to being in hell and being in the earthly realm, you know, which is pretty much as far as they can go, and they can't go back.
Right.
And yeah,
So they're going to take.
which makes them really angry at humans.
Yeah, we took their spot, or vice versa, or who knows why they. Okay,
Yeah,
I
I don't
need
want
I
to get
need
into
I
much of
need
an
I
audience.
need I need to change the subject because I just got something
Yes,
popped on me.
yes,
So anyway,
good idea.
yeah, Red, I appreciate you calling in, and I can't believe I've already been on this for 3 hours. I was hoping for 2, and we blew through, and it's like it just started this whole show.
Wow.
Wow, I was right. Like I said before,
Well, thank you very much.
if you ever need me, you know how to get a hold of me. So that
Absolutely.
all right, and I'll definitely start including you in my daily prayers in a little bit, and hopefully everything will God's will be done, and the creek don't rise. You know, something will happen. Okay.
Amen. God bless.
God bless. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, that was Red. Got a little deeper for just a second. Rachel, what's going on? Let's see. Paranormal experiences and always had to leave the name of blood Jesus. Yeah, absolutely. Jean Paul said, rebuke. When in doubt, rebuke and ask questions later. I believe that is absolutely the best thing to do. So, yes, indeedy. I guess if let's see, Sally, I apologize greatly for hanging up on you. It was not my intent to hang up on you. This whatever was going on with my equipment and Skype and crap. If you want to call back, I apologize greatly. Desperately want you to call back and tell us about your paranormal experience. 931-994-6917. I will give to the top of the hour, 23 minutes. If you want to call in, Sally, I would love to hear from you. You sound like you had a lot of stories, and unfortunately, my equipment wasn't working. Holy cow. Yeah, God bless you, Red, in a little bit. Holy smokes is all I can tell you. So definitely, if you are of the ilk to pray or give positive vibes or whatever to Red in a little bit, and Destiny lost her little cap, that kind of reminded me something. When I was married to my ex-wife, 20 years ago. Has it been that long? Damn, it has. Shit. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, we had a cat by the name of Puddin', little Siamese sealed point cat. Mean as shit too, but found out I was allergic to cats through that cat. I always wound up with a bunch of sore throats and watery and puffed up eyes and junk. So, Vault going live after your show. Maybe, I don't know. Check. Is Vault in here, or Lakea, his darling wife, Tabitha? If you're in the chat, jump up and say, hey, is Vault coming on? Sometimes they don't. Depends on what's going on in the house. If old Vault's out messing with the cameras and stuff. Which, hold on just a second. I promised I was going to play the cameras, and I hadn't done that damn thing yet. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's get this camera stuff going and give you a free sample of Nightmare Nation TV, and do this via the Vol of Nightmares. If you want to join in on that thing with the Vol of Nightmares, the Nightmare Nation TV, go over to the Vol of Nightmares 2.0, and I'm sure there's links over there. But there it is. That's the Vol of Nightmares backyard. This was born out of the ashes of the Dogman Camps project. So if you want to call in, 931-994-6917. Sally, again, I apologize greatly to you for hanging up on you. for whatever reason, whatever I was poking around did not like me poking. It hung up. It hung up on both calls, and I apologize. So there you go. Let's see. There was actually somebody tipped me. Give me just a second. Let's see. Somebody tipped me, and I just want to make sure. I think it was Cash App. Hold on just a second. I think it was Scott, if I remember correctly. Scott, well, hold on just a minute. Let me make sure. Yep, Scott, I appreciate you giving me that tip. If you are, want to help along with the show, now this stuff ain't free. I would love to say that I had enough funds and stuff to say, hey, but this crap ain't for free. So doing this, what I got tipped will probably pay for a month of Skype service, so that'd be cool. And Shauna always wondered if there was more story about the gooseberry bushes that weren't there the same. The gooseberry bushes in my backyard. Okay. Let's see. The gooseberry bushes is probably more along the Mandela effect. Did I put that in my book? Hold on just a second. Let me write this down. Which gooseberry bushes? The gooseberry bushes. Previously, to answer James/Jack in the chat, prior to my near-death experience, prior to me losing my leg and spending 3 months in the hospital recuperating and then coming back and moving into the house where my family bought this place 40 years ago, almost 50 now, from the original owners. And, they lived absolutely right next door on the property line. Long story short, there was some gooseberry bushes, and we played croquet around these gooseberry bushes when we were kids. And I remember eating the tart fruit when it was too green to eat. And I remember when it was ripe, it was delicious. And when I moved back in here, because I had a family give half a damn about me, I was in the back of the house, which is on the opposite side actually, if you imagine the corner of this place, let's see if I can show it here. The bottom right-hand corner of this is where I am in the house now. And if you go up here to where the Rio Link sign is, that's where I was on the other side of the house in the utility room, looking outside, and I was like, where are those gooseberry bushes? I asked a family member, said, where's those gooseberry bushes? And the family member replied, what gooseberry bushes? There's never been any gooseberry bushes back there. So the ones we played croquet around, and I got one of those, I don't know what the hell you've been smoking, Sean looks. And I wish my brother was alive still, because my sister, unfortunately, she lost a lot of her memory of her childhood. In a car accident. I remember the car accident before the near-death experience, but she still had her memory intact. After the fact, after my near-death experience, she lost a lot of her childhood memory. And I just don't have that resource to, pull back from her to fill in the gaps of what I remember versus what was true or false or whatever, if that makes sense. But the gooseberry bushes, I don't have anything additional to report. I have not written. I'll write something about it. The weird thing is when I write these about these things, these memories of this near-death experience, when I start writing, it's like I tap into whatever feed back to this place. Sometimes it likes me to write about it. And like I just said, with Red been on the phone with me talking about the devil encounter. Yeah, sub, yeah, definitely. There's something there. Well, I don't know the one in the top left hand corner. It may be that it's picking up the light off of that. I don't know. Is it light or is it infrared that it's picking up, or some sort of other alternate signal that it picks up with the man-sized anomaly? It says it's picking up movement. I don't know. We'll see. But when I tap into that, it kind of draws me in. And one of the things is if you read the raw stories that I've been telling you or telling in the book, I kind of leap all over the damn place because all of it happened at once. The near death experience. It was like when I wrote the story or told the story or wrote the story about me walking down a train track when I was 5 years old in a little place called Dunbar, Virginia. Look it up. It's a wild, crazy leapfrog back in time. Well, let's see if we can bring this up to that. Bring it to the forward, the front, the pillars camera. Hopefully, it'll pop up and see what that's going on. But again, this is a free preview with the Nightmare Nation TV. Go over to the Vault of Nightmares TV, Vault of Nightmares 2.0, and get the links and stuff over there to join in on that project. Crazy stuff. He did some call blasting the other night. That I don't know what the hell was responding to one specific call blast recording, but whatever it was, I didn't want to see it. Oh, yeah, I absolutely believe Jennifer. Jennifer's story is 100%. If you want me to put the chasing the truth, I believe this is true stamp on that, Jennifer's got it, without a doubt. Jennifer's got it from hands down. But yeah. I lost my train of thought now. Oh, jumping back and forth. If you read some of the stuff I've written, which I know, from I got probably about 4 people have read pieces of what I've written in the book so far, which I've had officially 102 pages I've written so far in the 27 days, without a doubt. 27 days. And it just amazes me what comes out of me. Before with the near-death experience, while you're watching this live feed here, I had a block for the longest time. I could tell you kinds of bits and pieces of, hey, I had this, but I would hit this wall and couldn't see through this glass window at the other side. But I knew there was something there. And when I start writing about it, it's like, oh, okay, I didn't remember that. Or like yesterday when I did that live feed for the near-death experience episode 1, writing the near-death experience, I came up with like 4 different things that I needed to write about that I had thought about. But there you go. All right, folks. If you want to call in, I've got about another 11 minutes. 931-994-6917. We are currently watching the Vault of Nightmares, Nightmare TV free preview. And we're currently looking at the pillars thing here. But, yep, there you go. And let's see. Who's in here? If there's anybody I have not said, Joshua Marshall. Hey, what's going on, brother? I appreciate that, Josh Marshall. Appreciate that. Josh is there was a friend of mine from high school. Are you him? Well, I had the same name. If it is, I apologize for puking on your floor way back when. But yeah, that was interesting. I don't think you are the fellow, but I believe probably. I don't know. That's interesting. Shit. All right, now I got to write about something else. Well, I guess that's all right. Adds to the book. Adds to what I have to write about. So hopefully. What the heck were you doing on the tracks by yourself? Well, I was 5 years old. This is old coal camp. That was old coal camp track. And if you look on my yesterday's post, I actually posted a picture of the coal camp and the track that I walked down, which, obviously it was not when I was 5 years old, obviously. But I was walking down the old train track and to go to the feed store in Dunbar, Virginia, to pick up a sack of something. I think it was like biscuits and poppers, whatever my late aunt Sharon asked me to go pick up. I thought I was a big boy. It was only a couple 100 feet down, back and forth. But yeah, 5 years old. Back then it was what nothing to let your kids out and play in the forest and stuff. Not like these days. But there you go. That's why I was out there in that thing. But yeah, that's why I was doing that. I can remember those old Coca-Cola machines, the mechanical ones that they kind of locked them in, and you had to put a quarter in and then twist the dial to make it come out. I remember one of those old Coca-Cola machines in that feed store. Ice cold too. Crazy. But anyway, got about 8 more minutes before I give up the ghost on this old show, and we're looking at the Vault of Nightmares, Nightmare Nation TV cameras. Let's go back here and go back and do 6. Bring it back up. See if we got anything else. Anybody? Feed stores were fun. This Dunbar, Virginia, was actually in Coal Miner's Daughter, Sissy Spacek, Coal Miner's Daughter movie. They actually, filmed some of it in there, and part of it was filmed. I think the one with the Jeep running up and down the side of the hill was filmed in Dunbar as well, along with that feed store footage. That feed store is no longer there. It's been razed to the ground maybe 30, 40 years ago, something like that. But yeah, that's an old memory. And my sister actually moved in Dunbar when she was a young mom. Yeah. So my family's had footprints in that old community from as far back as I can remember. That place is haunted as all get out. You think that this old house is haunted? That old house that my sister was in, that old hovel, whatever, that place was haunted for sure. The stories I've got from her, I need to actually ask her. One of these days, I'm gonna get my sister on here and we'll talk about if I can get her. She may or may not do it. I don't know, but we'll see. All right, Sally, if you are still listening, I apologize again for hanging up on you. It was not my intent to hang up on you. It was just it just happened. I was trying to stop some craziness happening and with the ringing and stuff with the second caller that was calling in. But I was hoping to get a trail cam in there and happen soon. Okay, cool. But if you want to contact me after the fact, which I'm going to go ahead and start signing off, seems like that. There's not going to be anybody calling in, so that's fine. No big deal. I've had a pretty good night with, let's see, we had Red, we had Jennifer, Sally for probably like a minute and a half. I apologize again, Sally, for hanging up on you. Then we had Chicken Whisperer, and who else was it? I think that was it. But we had a great night. Cannot beat when you get a lady coming on and they actually have honestly, lady stories just beat all anything. Yeah, it's just like you hear somebody tell a true story. It comes from a lady, and you're like, holy cow, really? And I actually believe Red and Jennifer. So Red says, I can't believe the arachnophobia. Yeah, since I was bit with a black widow, you know, I would probably use every shotgun shell I got to get rid of a damn spider. Do I have arachnophobia? Not to the degree that I know some people have, but I don't like them. I don't like them at all. Mm-mm. Especially if it was a black widow or a brown recluse. But that black widow, I wish I had that month that took away from me. That was a hell of a month for me. Not as bad as the 3+ months after I lost my left leg, but yeah, that was a month I'd like to have back. All right, folks. If you want to reach out to me, Sean G at imdarkwaters.com, SHAWNG at imdarkwaters.com, 931-994-6917 is a number you can contact me by after the fact. I actually do answer that phone every once in a while. Let's see. I was telling Bonita about the spiders on the cams in the first article I sent you, chasing. Oh, yeah. Hold on just a second. We'll pull that up. Let me share stop screen and we'll pull that. Let me pull that up. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Got it. Where is it? Here we go. Here's the spiders use electric fields and fly, and we may finally know why. And apparently, we're going to have some more flying spiders pop in the Northeast. Let me make sure if I got. Is that a different article that you sent me in the email there? Oh, there you are. Let me see. Copy. And we'll see. Probably, maybe not. But apparently in Northeast, we're going to start seeing a lot of spiders drop out of the sky. Sounds pretty damn creepy, but that's what it says. Paste and go. Paste and access. Okay, here's a different story. Giant spiders expected to drop from the sky across the East Coast this spring. Ugh. Yeah, that would be meeting the end of of whatever I could get a hold of. Baseball bat, fly swat, shotgun, whatever. Damn straight. Holy cow. Oh, yeah, that would. I know a few people was, I don't know. No. Yeah, that would definitely be blowed up. If I had to burn down a house to get rid of that damn thing, I would. Yeah, unfortunately, that's just the way it is. But there you go. Yeah, baby. Now, so you're saying, oh my God, they got damn big spiders down where you are. Shit. Bigger than that. I don't know how big that is, but I don't want that in my backyard. I would definitely be taking a blowtorch. What the hell's that? What is that? A Joro spider in Georgia. Nope. Ain't no way. They are bright yellow, black, blue, and red and can grow up to 3 inches. They like traveling across the globe on shipping containers, similar to bubonic plague. Life cycle begins in early spring, but then big in June and after. Sounds like cicada. That's about the time. Well, I think not bloody flying ones, Sean. Okay. Well, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I would definitely. Federal would be getting my every last dollar to get if I needed to spend it, I would definitely be buying every last fertile shell on this planet to get rid of those damn things. They're crazy, man. Holding an 8-legged spider like that. Nope. That reminds me, my biology teacher, what was that guy's name? Bald as a cue ball. I can't remember his name. High school. He loved spiders. And one of his big tarantulas got loose and wound up in the history teacher's classroom. And she screamed bloody murder. What was that guy's name? Man, anyway. He absolutely loved freaking spiders and had them in his biology class. So there you go. Now, I'm sorry for anybody that loves spiders. Spider to me, I know they're, ecologically, they take care of different insects and stuff. If we didn't have them, we'd be overrun by insects. But I don't like no spiders. No, sir. No way. That dog don't hunt with me. All right, folks. So let's stop doing this. All right, folks. Let's. I think I'm done for the evening. Let's go ahead and do a quick closing prayer. Let me see. I'll find one real quick. Actually, I think this one will probably work. This is one I shared with Red earlier. I've said this on my show, and this is called a perimeter prayer. Ripperger wrote a big exorcism book, and I've used this quite a number of times in my house, not just saying on air. Lord Jesus Christ, in thy love and mercy, establish a perimeter of protection around everyone that is listening and myself and our loved ones and those who pray for us and their loved ones. May the holy angels guard us and all our possessions, establishing a perimeter of protection around us, rendering us immune from any kind of demonic influence. Ask no demonic bondage, door, demonic entity, portal, astral projection, or disembodied spirit may enter the space of 100 yards in all directions of us. I ask that any demon within the vicinity or any that should try to enter here be rendered deaf, dumb, and blind. That thou would strip them of all weapons, armor, power, illusions, and authority, that thou would bind, rebuke, and disable them from communicating or interacting with each other in any way. Remove them, sending them directly to thy foot of thy cross, Jesus, Son of the Most High. I ask this in thy glorious and most holy name. Amen. Dear God, please protect Bass. Help him out. Send your angels of mercy to him and healing as he recovers from his stay in the hospital. Please help Destiny find her little cat that she has lost. And anyone else that is hurting in body, mind, and spirit, please send your angels of mercy and healing to them. In Jesus Christ's name, amen. One thing I was actually trying to, I don't know if I finished that story, just a real quick short story. My ex-wife and I had a cat, a Seal Point Siamese named Puddin. And we had just moved into an apartment in Kingsport, Tennessee, from Big Stone Gap, Virginia, which, she's now moved down to Florida, which is fantastic. She's happy she's ever been. God bless her. I'm glad that she's happy. But for whatever reason, that cat got out of the house, and we left the door cracked, and it was cold outside and rainy. And my darling ex-wife absolutely went bonkers nuts over that cat being gone. Now, the next morning, bright and early, probably about 5 o'clock in the morning, you could hear that cat just calling for my ex-wife. And you should have heard, I swear to God, that I would have been out of that house faster if I, versus that, that cat. If I got to cross with that cat, I would have been kicked out of that damn house versus that cat. But yeah, long story short, Destiny, it may be out doing its cat calling or whatever, or just getting out, and then it'll be right back. Hopefully, that's my gut feeling that that's what's going to happen. So, keep me posted if it does show up. Let us know, Destiny. Appreciate that. But if you want to reach out to me, Sean G at IamDarkWaters.com. IamDarkWaters.com, Sean G. Definitely run over to darkwaters.com and look up what he's doing over there. He's been posting quite a number of different things. Cindy, hey, I ain't seen you in a whole heck of a lot of Sundays. A month of Sundays, as we say down here in the South. But I appreciate you being a part of the show. Isaac, what's going on? That's interesting email. And let's see. Definitely go over to Vol Nightmares 2.0 and check out the Nightmare Nation TV video cam project that has been Phoenix rebirthed through the Dogman Cams project and ashes from that. That's about it. So that's all I got for tonight. Thank you for all the callers. Jennifer, you were fucking fantastic with the, I don't know why in the hell you think you did a bad job. Honestly, your nervousness was overcome with your sincerity, your ability to recall that fantastic detail. Red, definitely, you had fantastic stories, and definitely going to be adding you to my daily prayer. Hopefully, everything will go right in your house. God bless everybody, and keep it between the mayonnaise and the mustard, as old Chase would say. God bless, and I'll talk to you later. See you Friday, actually. Friday on Southern Supernatural. Tina Bice, myself, and now we're going to have a regular come on our show. Miss Borzan will be on our show, the psychic medium from Canada. She's going to be on our show on a regular basis. Plus, we're going to have Frederick Slack. He's a paranormal investigator. I've got a shitload of paranormal things that he's recorded. Penhurst, to you name it, he's been investigating that for a long time. So stay on the lookout. See you at 9 o'clock at night, Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Central. Who knows? Danielle Borzan is going to be on the show Friday as well. So you never know what's going to happen with that. God bless you. I think I'm about done. I think I've been done rambling. Stay tuned to my community post. I appreciate everybody's been contributing to the community post. If you got any questions about whatever I do post about the near-death experience, which I think I'm going to be doing a daily update from this point forward until whatever says, hey, Sean, don't do it anymore. Yes, thank you, Cindy. This has been cathartic, writing this stuff. Scary in some points because there's some stuff that literally just took it out of me. I'm glad I wrote about it, but I'll definitely be writing more about the stuff that I've had difficulty writing. And if you ever want to know what the darkest, deepest freaking pieces of me are, it's going to be in this damn book. Parts of it, not damn book. Forgive me. Lord, forgive me for saying damn. It's not going to be it's a godsend, this book. What I'm doing is I'm fulfilling my promise to God. It took me 6 years to start fulfilling that promise. I thought this old podcast radio show was part of the promise, which it is, but it wasn't cutting it. So I've got to write this books. So be a part of it, part of the NDE experience with me. And if you want to ask questions in the community post or on these shows and stuff that I do, please feel free. You never know. Be like Bass. God will help him. I've been in the hospital tonight. Last night he kept asking me questions, and you need to shut up, buddy, because I can't. He's dipping into some dark stuff that coming back at me. So, but yeah, if you want to reach down deep and ask some heartfelt questions about it, that's what I'm looking for. This is going to be a struggle to get some of it out, but I plan on getting it all out before I die. So, good night, folks. See you Friday and then Saturday.